The Traitors US is traitoring even outside of the game. Boy Meets World has drama all these years after the show has been off the air and more. We have a lot to talk about, so grab a beverage. Hopefully, you're wearing something very comfy. Smash that like and let's get started.
If you like what you see, come and get it with me. I know you deserve all you want, 'cause your heart's made of gold. But don't wait till you're old. If you want it, I get you some.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, stand-up comedian and pop culture vulture, Joleen Lunzer here with producer Prince. Well, producer in training still. And this is No Offense, All Offense, your pop culture news show where we take a comedic look, we roast and we recap the pop culture news. Remember, I'm very opinionated, but that doesn't mean you have to have the same opinion as me. You're welcome to have your own opinion and sound off in the live chat or the comment section if you're on the replay crew, and we can just agree to disagree.
That's my opinion!
It's just my opinion, as Prince wants to show everyone his backside. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday. So good to see you all. Make sure you smash that like if you haven't already. It's a free way to support the channel. Let's set a like goal for 100. See if we can hit it while we're live. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We're on our way to 43,000 with an ultimate goal this year of hitting 50,000 subscribers. Can you help us do it? Obviously, if you want to support the channel further, you're always welcome to send a super chat. While we're live here, you can hit me up on the Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, which Gigi did recently. Thank you so much, Gigi. Or you consider joining my YouTube membership or my Patreon. So hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you guys in the chat as producer Prince just takes over. You know how it is. Okay, we have so much to talk about today. Have you guys been following this Boy Meets World drama? Okay. I know that they have a podcast. I think we've talked about it like once before, and it's called Pod Meets World, and it's with Danielle Fishel, Will, I forget his name. And so the guy who I'm forgetting everyone's name. The guy who played Corey's brother, okay, the cutie patootie, and then Corey's best friend. Why can't I remember their names? But mostly Topanga, okay? And Topanga hosts with them. And they basically, like every show from the early 2000s, 90s, are cast members recapping all of the episodes of their show. And I think it's a fun thing that actors do to go back and look at these podcasts. I know Nana, she loves the 90210 podcast that Tori Spelling and Jenny Garth do. Hopefully they still do it. Hunter, yes, Topanga Hunter. You guys know who I'm talking about, right? So if you're an elder millennial or a millennial or maybe a baby Gen Z who parents watch this, or if you're a boomer who remembers, you know, or Gen Xer, you watched it maybe, or a boomer who watched their kids watch it. Boy Meets World was a really big deal. And it was a huge show. Ben Savage, Fred Savage's brother, starred in it. And we know Fred Savage from, what the hell was that show? My brain is like kicking Celsius. What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you hang up or whatever the thing is? You guys know what I'm talking about. Someone will put it in the chat and I'll go, oh, that's the name of the show. Yes, it was a part of the TGIF lineup. Like Friday night television used to be so good. You would come home from school and you were so excited to watch TV on a Friday night. The Wonder Years. How did I forget the Wonder Years? Oh my gosh, which is an iconic show. Okay. Now, thank you, Chickenhead PK Dorkface Neely, for starting us off with the first super chat of the live. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you. So, what we've learned quite a bit, if you've listened, I haven't listened to every episode of Pod Meets World because I was, you know, a pretty big Boy Meets World fan, but it wasn't, it was a staple, but it wasn't something that I kept up with afterwards. But I know that there has been a lot of revelations made, like there like happens in these podcasts with, you know, especially child stars, of treatment on the sets, fights, relationship dynamics, things like that has come out. And this latest episode, they had the woman who came in to when Corey, Topanga, and the gang went to college. There was an actress that came in named Maitland Ward, and she played Rachel. And when this news first hit TMZ, I was like, who was Rachel on Boy Meets World? Well, she came so many seasons later. She was like the cutie patootie redhead that they just like sexualized through the whole show. And she was always in lingerie and robes and stuff. And so I was like, oh, now I remember her. Well, the latest episode of Pod Meets World, they kind of interview their co-stars as the episodes are going along, as they present themselves in the seasons. So when they started covering the college years, a couple episodes into it, they were like, oh, we got to have Maitland on, who played Rachel, because she's introduced during that season. So that's kind of how they do it when it comes to interviewing people that worked on the show and former castmates. So they had Maitland on. And this interview has now made it to all of the social medias, to the blogs, to, the Us Weeklies and everything. Thank you, Amalish. So good to see you. Amalish is glad I could stay up to catch this live. Amalish, let us know if you ever watched A Boy Meets World, if that was a show that you remember. But great to see you. So as you can see, let me just share this here. And we're going to listen to a little bit of it because I spent the morning listening to this on 1.5 speed because I'm like, I have to know this drama. So apparently this Maitland Ward, who played Rachel, she went on the Pod Meets World podcast, and her and Danielle got into it over Maitland saying, you unfriended me on Facebook back in, I don't know, 2013, 14, 15 or something. And I tried to message you and you never messaged me back when you got married. And Danielle Fishel's like, I didn't even know. I barely go on Facebook. I didn't see your message until you said something. When we made the announcement we were starting this podcast, they let all the cast know, like, hey, we will be reaching out to you in the future when your episodes come up or when you're introduced on the show. We just want to know if you guys are interested in participating in this. Apparently, Maitland was like, yes. However, Danielle unfriended me, to which Danielle went and checked to see, and she's like, oh, I guess we're not friends. I don't really Facebook. She says she mostly Instagrams, and that's what I do, is I mostly Instagram and then just share things from Instagram on Facebook, since they're both, owned by Zuckerdork. So and then there was a message that went to like the graveyard of messages. If you're not friends with someone, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, it goes in like this separate folder. So I've had it where people have gotten mad at me where they're like, I messaged you. And I was like, well, first of all, I cannot reply to every single message as much as I would expect you guys not to be able to reply to every message you get. And there is that whole other folder that if you don't go look for that folder, you don't even know those messages exist. So apparently Maitland had sent this nice message when Danielle was on her first marriage or something back in who knows, and never heard back. And so Danielle was like, oh, can I get her number? Like asked for her number through her co-star. And Maitland had said allegedly, no, we'll just talk about it on the pod. Well, her podcast episode didn't come up for years later because they're, having their guests on and covering it chronologically. And I guess she alluded to it'll be better for ratings. So Danielle wanted to call her, Danielle Fishel, who played Topanga, wanted to call her and make it right and talk to her. Was like, I didn't know. Maybe I unfriended you. I don't remember. Before the podcast. And apparently Maitland was like, nah. We will just leave it until you didn't miss the Traitor stuff. I'm going to do the Traitor stuff next, William. Because we have a lot to get into with Traitors. So Maitland was just like, no, we'll leave it on the podcast. It'll be better for ratings or something. So then I'm listening to this episode and we'll play a little bit of it. And about an hour or so in is when this comes up, and it got hella awkward. And then Danielle just, in my opinion, owned Maitland in this argument and made her look so ridiculous and thirsty and all the things. So like Us Weekly's reporting, Boy Meets World star Maitland Ward is reflecting on her tense reunion with Danielle Fishel. So Maitland has already apparently gone to the blogs, and which isn't helping her case that she looks thirsty, and went to the magazines like Us Weekly to give her opinion on this. She says, I'm a little, I won't say shaken up or anything. I'm just surprised by the whole situation. I've had a little time to reflect on it since I did the show a week and a half ago. Ward told 2Fab. So she did an interview with 2Fab in an interview published Tuesday, February 25th. It just felt uneasy to have people that you called friends, especially in the past. I thought Danielle was my friend. I could see that she did not like me, and she has harbored not liking me through the years, but it's sad to me too. Now, when I play this, you guys are going to be like, what? This Maitland, she's got a chip on her shoulder. I think she has. Maitland is her first name, Carol. It's like she has something to, it's just like she has something to prove, you know. And I will tell you this because Maitland has become quite the star in the adult entertainment industry. So Maitland has now become a very, very popular adult film star. And when they talked to her about this, basically she said she's the first person in entertainment who had like success because she was on Boy Meets World. She was on so many episodes of Bold and the Beautiful. She was one of the white chicks in White Chicks that Marlon Wayans, the Wayans brothers portrayed. So she did do a lot of things, but she's the first person to go that way because you see people going from the adult film industry into, like, I guess for lack of a better term, regular film industry. But she actively sought out and went first to, I think, Patreon, then to OnlyFans, and then got into adult entertainment, which she's won a lot of awards. And she made sure to mention that, she is very well respected and she's received more respect in the adult film industry than she ever did in Hollywood. So the way she was describing this, Maitland is the redhead, yes. And then Topanga on the right is Danielle Fishel. The way she was describing it, it was definitely that she still feels like she has something to prove and that she does have a little bit of a chip on her shoulder from Hollywood, which I don't blame her one bit. But it feels like a lot of projection, like a lot of her assuming people are going to not like her or approve of her work, and feel some type of way when she doesn't necessarily have the evidence for that, And like Jim says, yeah, it's giving parched. No way. Archive says Heather McDonald announced this morning White Chicks 2 is officially. Well, maybe Maitland will be in it. I don't know. But this is so awkward, you guys. I have to grab my phone because I just realized for the first time I don't have my freaking phone in front of me. So we're gonna listen to the fight part and comment on it because it's pretty ridiculous. Because at first when I saw this article, I was like, oh, that's Mina Topanga. Maybe she was being mean to this lady, and that's not nice, Danielle Fishel. And then I watched the whole thing. I was like, oh, I see what's going on here. I see what's happening. But I want you guys to sound off in the chat and tell me what you think. Let's do a quick commercial break. I won't play the whole commercial. I'm just going to grab my phone real quick. Smash that like if you haven't already. If you need to go grab a beverage, now is the time to do it. And let me grab my phone so I can play the audio of this clip of these two going at it. Okay. That was a weird term since she's in the adult film industry, but you know what I mean. Be right back.
Welcome to Goth Talk. I'm Cersei Nightshade.
And I'm Azrael Abyss, Prince of Sorrow.
Tonight, we're coming to you live from Suncoast High School, where just down this hall, the pathetic day dwellers of the class of 1998 are celebrating the tawdry amusement known as the prom.
This is wrong.
What?
You. Doing my homework, it's wrong.
Well, I was just trying to help.
It's like I'm taking advantage of you or something.
You're not taking advantage of me.
The square of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is equal to the sums of the square of the other two sides, baby!
It would be different if we were like... But now, we just... friend or whatever.
Okay, thank you for your patience, you guys, as I grab my phone. So we're going to listen to a little bit of the fight. This happens. If you want to check it out, it's the Pod Meets World podcast. It's on iHeart, but you can find it everywhere you listen to podcasts. I couldn't find it on YouTube. It looks like they stopped doing YouTube videos regarding this podcast like a year or so ago. So I don't know if they're going to restart that. I don't know what's going on over there. But this is the February 23rd episode, and it's Maitland Ward meets World. And this, about the hour timestamp, I think, is when they really get into it regarding. Before then, they're just talking about, how Maitland got the part, her experience on the set. And then it gets really juicy, and it gets into, you guys don't like Ben Savage. And apparently Ben Savage, who played, Corey on Boy Meets World, apparently he doesn't talk. He just stopped talking to like, especially these three hosts, which is Ryder Strong, Danielle Fishel, and Will Friedle. And nobody really knows why. Also, I was looking into Ben Savage because I'm like, I haven't thought of this dude in a while. And apparently he ran for Congress representing some district, maybe in LA or something, was unsuccessful. But they claim that he doesn't talk to them. And I think it could have to do with the experience on Girl Meets World, what Danielle Fishel says wasn't a good experience. So the show came back, I didn't watch it, called Girl Meets World. And I think it was Corey and Topanga now married, their daughter, and her experience. But I don't think it went that well. So let me know what you guys think of this. And I'll be pausing the podcast to get to talk a little bit. Okay. So let's see where we're at here.
And it was great to see Michael. I hadn't seen Michael in a long time either. And Ben's family and Dee Dee. Yes.
Okay. So Danielle is talking about here being invited to Maitland's wedding. She's still married to her husband. And they talked about that. How do you keep your marriage together being an adult film star? And she's like, it's great. I can live out my gangbang fantasies. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I would be like, no, I wouldn't let my husband do that, nor would I. But yeah, to each their own. Who cares? But anyways, so Danielle talks about she was invited to Maitland's wedding, but they really hadn't talked for years after the show, but she was invited, which was cool. So she went.
So there was a little Boy Meets World reunion.
I wasn't invited.
I did not know who you guys were at that time. Literally.
Oh, okay.
This was 2006. Were we on social media? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I had your email or whatever. I had information, probably from Dee Dee. Dee Dee would make sense. Yes. Because Dee Dee and I have been in touch ever since.
Yeah. Thanks.
So through Dee Dee. Okay. So I just remember being really excited. It was very sweet. We took a really beautiful photo at your wedding.
Yes,
you looked so gorgeous. Your wedding was
really
gorgeous. It was a really beautiful, beautiful day.
Yes.
And then you got married in 2006. And we never spoke again. I went to your wedding.
Right. We didn't really speak.
And we never spoke again.
But I didn't to them either. And I saw them on the Girl Meets World set and you guys bear hugged me and great to see you again after.
We weren't working.
Yes, I was working.
Okay. I think I started it a little too soon because we got to hear when they first talk about her visiting the Boy Meets World set. And she was like, Topanga was not friendly to her.
Please are in there, like how many people are married with kids and have lived very, very normal.
So here's the end of her talking about the adult film industry and how there's normal people and people are married and they have families and her relationship has withstood her being a top adult film actress.
Lives. I think everything you see that is wild, we're like living on the set. So,
right.
Like I'm not out on Saturday night, like trying to, find gangbangs. I do that on Monday morning.
6 a.m. call time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
Wet the dick.
But then the worst is I have one time had to do like all of this dialogue in the day. And we had this huge orgy scene, which are the four.
Everyone knows those two things.
All of those people having to get together like this. All these people are having to
It's like the Scream episode for us.
Yeah,
everybody's in the same set.
So again, this is the end of her talking about her adult film industry career and the orgies and such.
Yeah, it's like when you film a wedding scene, you have all these people and everything. Oh God! Well, I swear we shot for 24 hours. So,
God!
Not the sex all the way, but just the getting it together and shooting all the. There was a big acting portion. There were snakes in it at one point. Yeah, it was.
Oh my God!
These are elaborate setups.
My goodness.
Ironically, still covered in honey and in front of a bear. So, yeah. Different type of bear, but.
Okay, so jumping ahead to around the time, let's say 2022, when we start our podcast, Pod Meets World. Maybe a more broad, general question for you is: do you hate us?
No, I don't hate you.
So Danielle Fishel right there, Topanga's asking the redhead, Matlin, who was in Boy Meets World on the later seasons, do you hate us? So that's our transition into this conversation.
Okay. I think that you hate me because you wouldn't speak to me when we would go to Girl Meets World and everything. And that's hurtful. That was
I wouldn't speak to you?
No.
I did talk to you.
No, not really. Not really. Unfriended me on Facebook.
I did not unfriend you on Facebook. I don't know. I truly don't know how that happened. And when you went public and said that you had sent me a message
I did send you a
on
message.
Facebook around the time that I got married the first time
Yes, I
in
did.
2013.
Yes.
You sent it to Will. You told Will, I sent Danielle this message. She didn't respond to me. I am not a Facebook person. I barely ever use Facebook. As a matter of fact, the only thing I do on Facebook is now that Instagram allows you to post the things you post on Instagram on Facebook.
That's
I have
what
that
I do.
toggle on, so whatever I post on Instagram goes to Facebook. But otherwise, I don't even go on Facebook.
So right away, it's already ridiculous. Like, you unfriended me on Facebook. Okay. Okay. But we could have talked about this off the podcast, but all right. Thank you, Crybrand, for the super sticker. I appreciate that so very much. Yeah, Jim, imagine coming on a podcast to talk about being unfriended on Facebook. I mean, what is this? Like 2009? Okay, here we go.
So when I heard that, I said, oh my gosh, did not know that. I then went into my Facebook page, saw that we were not friends, was like, didn't remember when we were friends on Facebook or when we were no longer friends on Facebook, found your message in like the graveyard of messages that your messages go to. And I then felt very bad. I felt like, oh man, you did send me a really nice message. You had said, congratulations on your engagement. Congratulations on Girl Meets World. It was very sweet. And so I said to Will you please ask Maitland if I could have her phone number so that I could apologize to her? And you wrote back to Will, no, let's just save it for the podcast. It'll be great for the ratings.
Not the ratings. I think we should talk it out on a podcast.
Okay.
Something to talk about, you know.
I believe the official quote was rock the stats.
But also I thought the podcast was going to be like next week back then. It was that you guys were just going to start out. So I thought it was going to happen like right away.
Right away. Got it.
But honestly, no, you did not speak to me on the set of Girl Meets World, except for hi.
Okay, yeah.
I have no pictures with you.
Danielle goes, okay, yeah. She says, I have no pictures with you.
Anything on that set, like a Girl Meets World. And I thought, because, you were at my wedding and everything, and I thought we were friends. And then it was just.
What year did you get married again? I don't remember what year.
2006 at the end.
Okay, yeah. So I do remember when I got the invitation to your wedding, and it came out of nowhere because we hadn't really spoken since Boy Meets World had ended. So Boy Meets World ended in 2000, and then you get married in 2006, and I was like, oh my gosh, how nice is that I got it? And I remember talking to my mom about it. Oh my gosh, Maitland invited me to her wedding, and I thought, oh fun. We're going to have like I'm sure it's going to be a Boy Meets World reunion because you and I hadn't spoken. So I thought if I was invited, everyone else was probably going to be invited. And then it was me and Michael, and it was great to see Michael. I hadn't seen Michael in a long time either.
And Ben's family and Dee Dee. And
there was a little Boy Meets World reunion.
I wasn't invited.
I did not know who you guys were.
So both the guys, Ryder and Will, are like, oh, we weren't invited, I guess. Okay, cool. And then Ben's family was there. Doesn't sound like Ben Savage was there, but his family was there.
Time. Literally.
Oh, okay.
This was 2006. Were we on social media? No, I didn't. Yeah. I had your email or whatever. I had information. Probably from Dee Dee.
Dee Dee would make sense, yes. Because Dee Dee and I have been in touch ever since.
Yeah.
Was Mingus.
Dee Dee. Okay, so I just remember being really excited. It was very sweet. We took a really beautiful photo at your wedding.
Yes,
you looked so gorgeous. Your wedding was
really
gorgeous. It was a really beautiful, beautiful day.
Yes.
And then you got married in 2006. And we never spoke again. I went to your wedding.
We didn't really speak.
And we never spoke again.
But I didn't to them either. And I saw them on the Girl Meets World set, and you guys bear hugged me, and great to see you again.
We weren't working.
Yes, I was working. I was definitely working.
You had an attitude about it though, because I know there was some beef between us because I didn't get it, and maybe I picked up the wrong signals, but definitely there was some sort of like weirdness there.
And so what did you think it was?
I didn't know at all. I didn't know. I didn't know if you thought that I was trying to like come onto the set and like take over or something, like not take over, but like try to steal attention or something. And like, but I didn't know. I really was very.
That's interesting. That's interesting right there. That she would even bring up the fact that Danielle Topanga, who was basically her and Corey, like the stars of the show, would be threatened that a woman who was on the show for a few seasons toward the end would come in and steal the show from her why the immediate thought of this competition? Interesting.
Genuinely confused why we wouldn't be good.
I don't feel as though I was not good with you, but I definitely didn't have a relationship with you that was like, oh my gosh, my long lost friend Maitland.
But
I was working. It was a very, very difficult set. That in those 3 years were, you know, the memories. Let's put it this way: the memories we have of the fun set of Boy Meets World were not the memories or the fun set of Girl Meets World. It just wasn't. And I went into it hoping it was going to be. I went into it expecting it to be, and it wasn't. It was a rather tumultuous place. It was a place I felt very ostracized. I felt very criticized. I felt a lot of different things being on that set.
Rightfully so, by the way.
That was not the set.
What the hell happened on that set? I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but the Girl Meets World set, clearly, Ryder, Will, and Danielle all feel like it was pretty toxic. And I'm sure if I listened to the podcast, I would know the specifics, but I don't.
Danielle being carefree and running around shaking hands and kissing babies. So I am sorry that you thought I had something personally against you.
Listen, I mean, you didn't like the fact that I was getting a lot of attention at that time and going off in my own space and taking away like that attention.
I was on the cover of Maxim in 2014.
I love that. I applaud you for that.
But I wasn't in any way upset. I didn't think you were. It was two totally different.
That's so weird to think that Danielle Fishel is like, oh God, I don't want to talk to her anymore. She's like this huge adult film star. She's getting so much attention. And so obviously she hates me. What? This weird competitive woman thing she's doing is a choice. Like, that's a choice for her to be like, you're just jealous. Because again, I want to highlight again a comment that William said, that there is always a stigma with this kind of stuff regarding the adult film industry and stuff, but there's a strange victimization that sex actors have for themselves. I've seen that. I've seen that with people, and just to some respect, in some regard, I get it, because there is a stigma around it, and people do have judgments, and it's kind of like, haha, funny. And Matlin was saying, I do serious. These scripts I do aren't these like cheesy corn videos and movies. These are like real respected, and it's like, okay, girl, like cool. But it seems like this has more to do, in my opinion, just as a listener of this, with Matlin's insecurities and her projecting these things, and maybe this. But this comment really that William said, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I've heard this quite a bit. So I'm screaming. I mean, this is not what you would say to someone who was maybe once your friend. This is someone. Clearly, these are fighting words from Matlin to be like, or Maitland, or whatever her name is. I think it's Maitland. Maitland to be like, well, I mean, obviously you were jealous because I have a lot of heat on me. And she does. She's got like 1.4 million followers on Instagram. I checked. She's huge on this adult film industry circuit, and she should be super proud of that. If that's the career she wants, props to her. And if this is the career Danielle wants, props to her. But the fact that she's comparing the two, like Danielle's going to be like, oh, I wanted to do the gangbangs. It's just like, if Danielle wanted to do the gangbangs, she'd do the gangbangs, But okay, girl. Okay.
You were upset. That's what I mean. I didn't know.
And the fact that Danielle was like, girl, I was on Maxim. I was on the cover of Maxim in 2014. So don't come at me with like, I'm looking down on you, because I'm not, because I did kind of something somewhat similar. Even though it's very different from adult entertainment, but it's, Maitland started down the road of OnlyFans and stuff. So she's like, girl, I did it. It just wasn't for me. And you stayed with it, and that's fine. And good on you. But I didn't want the gangbangs.
That's only what I get.
But you just told me right now
why I was upset. You were saying before you didn't know why I was upset for sure.
No,
but
never
just now you just said
that's
were.
what I thought. Maybe
So
that's what
Alex, it might not be the kind of content that you take in. So that's probably why you didn't hear about her. But apparently she was getting if you're into that, if you're into the adult film stuff and you follow adult films, like, then she's won awards and she's doing the damn thing.
That you thought I had something personally against you.
Listen, I mean, you didn't like the fact that I was getting a lot of attention at that time and going off in my own space and taking away like that attention.
I was on the cover of Maxim in 2014.
I love that.
I definitely
applaud you for that.
But I wasn't in any way upset. I didn't think you were. It was two totally different spaces.
I didn't know why you were upset. That's what I mean. I didn't know why you were. That's only what I get.
But you just told me right now why I was upset. You were saying before you didn't know why I was upset for sure.
No, but never
just now. You just said
that's what I thought. Maybe
that's what you guessed then.
Back then.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Then I was thinking maybe that's it. Maybe she's back then. Not like I'm like
got it. I thought you were saying that now that's what it was, and I was like, okay. Got it.
I'm
totally
saying
understand. That was what you right.
Is she mad at that? Is she,
Got it. And that absolutely, in every experience we have had on this show where people have finally talked about things that have never been talked about in the 20 or 30 years since they've happened, or 10 or 20 years since they've happened, when it then comes up, every single time there's a reveal, which is like, oh, you know what? I made this a personal thing. I thought it was about this. And we go, oh, and here's what was going on for you and for you and for you and for you. So that makes sense. And I'm sorry that you thought it was about you or anything you were doing. I didn't, like I said, I did Maxim in 2014. And it wasn't until after I did the cover of Maxim that I realized that wasn't for me. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it made me feel. Right, you and I actually have totally different and both perfectly valid experiences with that, where you have grown into it and embraced it, and it is awoken a part of you you didn't know existed, and you feel empowered by it. I had that one experience and felt the exact opposite. But I didn't know I didn't know that was my feeling until after I did it. So we've just had two totally different journeys in that, and they're both valid, and neither of them
different journeys. That's true.
Are wrong. And then there have been other, it seems like almost any time the podcast is in the news, in the press, there's a quickly followed up TMZ interview with you.
Oh yeah, everybody's interested. Yeah, they always want to know.
How do those happen, by the way?
Because they come and
So I looked into this too. And it does seem like Maitland, I think that I keep saying Maitland. I apologize for mispronouncing your name. It seems like every time there's something Boy Meets World, or even like starting of the Diddy, it seems like she seems to be a fan of providing commentary for TMZ. So and she shares it on her Instagram, so it's not like a secret. And she'll they'll interview her about. They interviewed her about the Diddy parties, even though she wasn't at the Diddy parties. She was just talking, I think, about orgies in general. But she has a few times been stopped on the street to talk about Boy Meets World and anything that comes up on these podcasts. And she does have quite an opinion. And Danielle Fishel's like, how do they find you? Because they're not finding me. They're not finding the rest of us, but somehow you're always available. And this is very housewives. There's always that one or couple housewives who are always talking to the press, and then they're offended. They're like, what? Me? What? Monica says, too many people have talked about Danielle's attitude. That is true. Thank you for the super chat, Monica, by the way. It keeps coming up. People need to remember she's not Topanga. She is condescending, because she did have an issue with her other co-star, and I forget her name, but they talked it out on the podcast, and Danielle talks about that. Let me pull up. I want to remember this actress's name. A Feud. She played Sean's girlfriend. What was her name? Boy Meets World. Chaos. Because I think she even went to like her Instagram and talked about it as well. So, oops, I put Boy Meets Boy Meets World cast. And okay, it was Trina McGee. So she played Angela Moore. And she I can't believe she's 55. She looks so good. So she was so much older than a lot of the cast when she was on there playing their age group. And then they worked it out. But Monica is correct. There have been other women, including Trina, who have felt kind of like the cold shoulder from Danielle.
Hey, they find me on the streets.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I've ever been found on the street.
Well, you don't hang out enough in West Hollywood.
Oh, it's West Hollywood.
Are you trying to accuse me of using you, or are you trying to accuse me of something? Because
I'm just wondering. Because they've never stopped me outside of my house, or never stopped me.
They're not stopping me outside of my house.
Okay. I don't know where they're stopping you. I was just wondering because it hasn't happened.
It's a big concern for you right now.
I was just curious because it seems as though every time we've been in the news, shortly thereafter, there's an interview with you on TMZ sharing your opinion on the subject.
They want to know. So many news outlets want to know stuff.
Okay.
Listen, I think there's a divide too because you guys hate Ben and you guys hate Michael.
I don't hate Ben or Michael.
Or like you guys have
do not hate either of them.
So they're like, you guys hate Ben, you guys hate Michael. I think Michael they might be referring to like the director or I don't know, one of the producers, director of the show. But she's like, you guys hate them. You guys, Danielle's like, we absolutely do not hate them. She's like, okay, whatever. I'm pretty sure you do. Here, let me show the picture where you can see Topanga, Maitland, and Rachel. And then you'll kind of remember probably the character. So Rachel did have the short hair, the redhead on the left, Topanga obviously in the middle, and then Trina's character, Angela. She played Angela, and there is the picture of them. So she's like, you guys hate Ben. You hate Ben Savage.
Hate is a strong word. I not mean hate, but like to have disagreement, I guess.
Ben is one of the most important people.
So she pulls it back right away. It seems like a lot of the things that Maitland's saying, she's in like, well, maybe not hate. Well, maybe not. I didn't think you were jealous of me. It was back then, not now. It's like, okay, girl.
Time we've been in the news. Shortly thereafter, there's an interview with you on TMZ sharing your opinion on the subject.
They want to know. So many news outlets want to know stuff.
Okay.
Listen, I think there's a divide too because you guys hate Ben and you guys hate Michael.
I don't hate Ben or Michael.
Or like you guys have
do not hate either of them.
Not hate. Hate is a strong word. I not mean hate, but like to have disagreement, I guess.
Ben is one of the most important people I've ever met in my life, and I can't stand the fact that he won't speak to us.
I feel exactly the same way.
He won't speak to us.
Correct.
I can show you the last 3 years, literally, of messages, and in the middle of a conversation with Ben,
I wish
he just bailed on me.
And wish that.
Yeah. No, Ben absolutely one day woke up and said, I don't want Will in my life, and never told me why.
Well, I don't know the history of any of that. So
No, I know you don't.
Michael either.
Again, is my question.
Well, that's kind of like, if you don't know the history of it, why are you speaking on it? Why did you even bring it up? So to find out that Ben Savage, which I think from this podcast, you kind of got the feeling that Ben Savage didn't keep in contact with the rest of the cast as much as a lot of the cast keeps in contact. But it is interesting to now hear Will, who played his brother on the show, and Ryder, who played his best friend on the show, be like, he just cut us out of his life. And yes, he stepped away from Hollywood, and yes, he ran for Congress, but like, was it necessary? Like, what really happened? The child actors, again, they should just, if you're going to AI anything, don't AI writing, don't AI adult actors, but AI the kids, because kids shouldn't even be on these sets because it's too messy and it messes kids up. And I just don't think we really need child actors. Indiana Girl Jules, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, listen, Maitland, I think you had so many insecurities and still do. Leave Danielle alone, LOL. It's 2025. Have so much other things to be upset about. There is a lot of things to be upset about, unfortunately.
Do you listen to our podcast? Because you did then go in on one of the TMZ articles and say that our podcast is very negative, and we say all kinds of negative.
I know
and
there was some
mean
negative.
things.
There was a lot of negative stuff that came out of that podcast.
Do you listen to the podcast?
No, not regularly, but I do.
I love when people, you're very negative about the show. Would you listen to the podcast? No, not really. That is so 2025. Would you know what you're talking about? Not really. I saw a headline. That's all. I didn't really look into it any further. Just kind of read the headline. Think you're negative.
Listened to the big shows in the past, especially at the beginning. I haven't listened to it that much recently. But I don't understand why this is like a grilling session right now.
It's not a grilling session. I'm just asking you questions. These are things you said on TMZ, so I'm just curious because we have not felt as though we have said anything negative. The same way you wrote in your book about your experiences doesn't mean that they're negative. They're just experiences. Me sharing my story that Michael told me in a note session that I needed to show up the next day and do it entirely different. The same exact way you shared your story at the beginning of this podcast, where you said he told you your audition needed to be entirely different the next day.
Because really he was looking out for me to get the role.
Right. That's what he did to me. Then he gave me a thing. That's what he would say his argument was. He gave me notes about how he wanted me to do it the next day. Then I did it the next day, and then he gave me a standing ovation. That's the story I told. We had a guest on who then said his experience and got very upset. But so I just don't know where. You're the one who said it. So if you want to not stand by it, that's fine too. But what has been so negative?
So this is always my problem when people bring stuff up and you're going to TMZ and you're making comments. And then when you're questioned about it by the people who you were talking about, you're like, I don't see why you're raking me over the coals, why you're grilling me here. Girl, you said it. Are you going to stand by your words or not? It's okay if you feel that way, but you said it. No, it's immediately going into kind of that victim mode of like, I didn't come on here to get grilled. Yeah, you said allegedly in your message with Will, I believe, that you didn't want to talk to Danielle before this podcast. You want to save it for the podcast because it'll be good for ratings. And now that she's bringing up all the things, you're like, oh, no. And I feel like Danielle, what the ladies are saying and the feelings they get about Danielle Fishel, that might be true, but it's also not Danielle's fault that in this kind of discussion with Maitland specifically, she's just better at arguing. Maitland seems very messy, like William was saying in the chat. And Danielle's like, boom, 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 boom. Like she's just hitting all the points, making a lot of sense. And Maitland's like, well, did it? It's like, but girl, you keep going to TMZ and you keep talking about stuff and that's okay, but just stand by it. Own it. Like Lisa Rinna would say, own it, girl.
So many negative things that have come out of
Kate and
about the show.
Jinx.
Okay, well then I don't know why you can't name any of them.
Anything to do with Michael and anything to do with all of that. I mean, I'm not telling you what's right and wrong. I'm saying negative about the show.
So you don't listen to the podcast regularly, but your overall opinion of it is that we are negative about Michael and Ben and the show.
Be honest about this. You're trying to go at me now to get the ratings because you know that people will be interested in
Maitland.
I don't want to go with you guys. I just want to remember good times.
No, Maitland, sorry. I'm not the one who wanted to go for ratings. I'm the one who texted Will to ask for your phone number so that like adults, we could have a conversation off the air. When you said rock the stats, I realized, got it. This isn't someone who's seeing an opportunity to, again, use this opportunity to get into the ratings. So this is what you asked for. I wanted to write you a text and say, can we talk about what our feelings are?
Genuous to have to be reminded that you unfriended me from Facebook and that after I wrote you a very heartfelt letter and it was heartfelt.
Well, yeah, I hadn't read it until I heard about it in whatever year it was, 2022.
Yes, you didn't even care to look at it. So
because it was in the graveyard. Okay. We weren't friends on Facebook.
Okay.
We were not friends on Facebook. It didn't come to my message. I hadn't read it until I was aware it existed. So, yes. But listen, all I'm saying is these are things I would have wanted to talk to you about, or we could have talked about had you been willing to give me your phone number. But you wanted to save it to rock the stats. And so, yeah, these are questions I had. If you don't want to answer them, you don't have to answer them.
Have fun with you guys and to remember and just to have good time.
Oh, now you want to only talk about the good times.
I bring up
when TMZ
controversial
runs into
guys.
you randomly on the street, that's the time when you want to drag our names through the mud. But now it should all be about good times.
The mud.
Yes, that is what you have done on multiple occasions.
Because you have done a lot of things that are very disingenuous.
Name them, please. Name them, please.
I am not getting on the show to be name them. You go against Michael all the time for like.
What does go against Michael mean? Is Michael?
Oh my God! It like Danielle gave her the name them. This is like put them on a housewife show. This is, I mean, Maitland needs a little. She needs a little help in her stuff, but she wants receipts and she wants you to name them.
Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, everything.
Name them. Name them. Well, what you did was ridiculous. Name them. Not having. Well, be quiet. So let me talk. Jesus. Name them.
Maitland, why didn't you prepare for this? You knew it was going to come up. You brought it up saying, hey, this will be good for the podcast. You should have gotten more prepared because Danielle is like wiping the floor with you. And yes, her tone can be, seen as like condescending and stuff. But Maitland's just like, well, and Danielle's like, dude. Like Danielle is like a freaking machine gun. And Maitland's like, I don't know what oh my gosh.
What does it mean? What does it mean to go against Michael?
Like saying, oh, he was just this guy who just controlled us all. And yes, there were all sorts of negative things that happened. I agree.
Oh, okay.
But you're not doing it just to get listens?
No,
I'm talking like if I'm talking about Michael yelling at me and like that's my experience, right? Like I was yelled at. I watched him do things. I can describe that. That's
well,
true,
absolutely.
right?
I did too. I went up to the lingerie in front of everybody. So,
right.
And you talked about it in your book.
Yes.
And that's not necessarily being negative for the sake of
there's nothing wrong with that. There isn't.
Okay.
Talking about it is fine. But is it negative? Yes, that's a negative thing about the show. You talk a lot about negative things about the show. That's negative. Like,
okay.
But you guys you have careers and lives because of that show. And I realize I do too. And no matter what, we're all going to be.
And so is the price we pay for that silence?
Oh, damn. Is the price you pay for that? It kind of seems like I get sort of what Maitland's saying in the sense of like, own it. Own that you guys kind of talk crap on the show because that's your experience. But Maitland, you got to remember, also wrote books where she talked about this. So everyone's profiting off of their experience and they have every right to do so because that was their experience. So I don't think they're talking about the people just to get ratings, but you know that if you share things that have never been shared on a TV show, you'll get more ratings. So they're both essentially doing the same thing. But then Maitland is like, oh, you being disrespectful. So I got to look up Michael Boy Meets World. Is this the director? Michael Boy Meets World. Michael Jacobs. Okay, so he is the creator. So they seem to have issues with Michael, the creator, Michael Jacobs, producer, creator, Boy Meets World. And he's an American television creator, writer, and producer whose work has appeared Broadway, off-Broadway, and television. He's 69 years old. So it seems like she's more like, oh, Team Michael, where they have Danielle, Will, and Ryder have some criticisms of their time with Michael. But it struck me not in a good way when she was like, but you wouldn't, if it wasn't for them, like be grateful. It's like, okay, but we know how Hollywood works and we know how these producers work and we know how some of these directors work and some of these creators, especially from the male persuasion, and with kids and with women and stuff. So no, I don't think you have to be silent. You can share your story. And if it just so happens to be not the brightest news about the show, that's still your experience. It doesn't mean you're necessarily being negative. Oh, Lord, it is messy.
And only doting on one of the people who's No, of course not.
I don't understand what your point is right now. Like, of course, we're going to talk about issues and stuff, but I don't understand why you're going at me for this.
Well, because again, I mentioned why. You've talked about it in the press multiple times. And when I tried to ask for your phone number.
To me on set, that you ignored my letters, yes, absolutely. That happened.
And then when I tried to reach out to you,
Because it was
privately.
disingenuous. It was disingenuous.
It's disingenuous to want to do it face to face or via on the phone, but it's less disingenuous to do it to rock the stats on a podcast.
I said
in the press. We obviously just feel very differently about what being genuine is. For me, anytime in any aspect of my life, when someone has something a bone to pick with me, for lack of a better word, I then make the effort to reach out to that person to have a conversation. My personal belief is that there's probably nothing that can't be worked out by talking and with honesty and saying, okay, here, you want to know what was going on? Let me tell you what was going on. Or what is your perspective? What are your thoughts on this? And almost every single time.
Thank you, Alex. Hit that like, guys.
She's dropped out.
So this is when she drops, and they're like, oh my God, she dropped off the podcast. She dropped. Well, it was just she lost connection. And now they're waiting for her to come back.
God,
it just like went out.
Well, the timing was pretty perfect.
I know,
actually.
the timing
was pretty
was
spectacular.
Yeah, your power company has a sense of humor.
Yeah, no, it's Michael outside unplugging.
Unplugging our show. Yeah,
exactly. Where I had left off was just, in my experience, my belief was that anytime somebody has a problem, I prefer to have a dialogue about it personally. I've never been the type of person to air a grievance with someone in the press. And in your
Well, I mean, I get what Danielle's saying in the press, like calling TMZ and stuff, but you do have a podcast. Granted, I guess she does invite the people on to air grievances for the most part, but they're all kind of using the press to air their grievances. But it does look sus that Maitland is constantly talking to TMZ.
opinion, I guess, you felt like me wanting to reach out privately felt disingenuous, which...
Yes, because you didn't do anything for all those years. And do I believe you never saw it? Okay.
But we weren't friends on Facebook. So how would I have seen it?
You unfriended me.
Okay.
We were friends when I sent that letter.
So she's like, we were friends when I sent you the Facebook message. You unfriended me. And Danielle's like, I wish Danielle would just say, I did unfriend you. I just didn't want to be friends on Facebook. I don't like Facebook. I didn't want to follow your stuff. No offense, all offense. I wish you would just say no offense, all offense. But yeah, I unfriended you. There you go.
We're friends when you sent the note.
I think so, because I saw you as my friend to send it.
Okay, but I mean, I don't use Facebook, so I don't even know what that means because I saw you as my friend to send it. To me, if you were thinking I'm going to send Danielle a message, I don't know what it's like in Facebook, but you would just open a message and then type my name and my name would autofill. So
That's what I did.
Did not. Okay. But that doesn't mean I don't know when we were no longer friends on Facebook. I had not seen you or spoken to you since your wedding in 2006. It was now 2013. I don't know.
Well, if I don't talk to you in that long and I just happen to not be your Facebook friend anymore, like, who cares? Who cares? I don't care. But clearly, Maitland cares.
That happened. Becoming friends was when you hit the button.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Danielle, do you remember, did you ever purposely unfriend Maitland?
I never purposefully unfriended Maitland. I don't have memories of unfriending.
I have memories of the bear, guys.
That's true.
So Maitland talks, Danielle's like, I don't have memories of unfriending. And then Maitland brings up a point they talked about earlier, some episode or something with the bear. And she's like, she doesn't even remember that, you guys. She's clearly has something going on. She doesn't have a good memory.
That is true. Valid point. But also, it's not like it's the first time anyone's ever heard of random unfriendings on things. It's happened to me multiple times on Instagram where I will look and see, oh my gosh, I'm no longer following so-and-so. And I didn't.
That does sometimes happen. Or sometimes I think they just did that with this this election. All of a sudden, if you weren't following like Trump and JD Vance, but you were formally following Biden and Kamala Harris as the president VP, they had you following the new VP president. So I know that sometimes Instagram is a little weird.
Did not unfriend them. I have to then go back in and refollow people.
Which makes me feel so stupid that I'm even having to explain that or justify either of these things because it's so dumb. At this point, in the conversation, I would be like, yes, I unfriended you. I don't know what you want me to say. I unfriended you. I did it. And that probably hurt your feelings. I'm sorry that hurt your feelings. But I did unfriend you. And I unfriended you because of all of this. We should clearly not be friends. We're not on the same page. Okay? You're having success. I'm having success. But we're not fucking friends. We were never fucking friends.
That's ever happened. Is it possible that somewhere between the time of 2000, I guess, whenever we became friends on Facebook, I don't remember when that happened either. Is it possible that somewhere over the years of 2000 to 2013, I unfriended Maitland? Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't have a memory of it. I wouldn't have had a real particular reason to do it unless I was just like, you know what? My Facebook has too many friends. I'm going to this person I don't talk to. I spoke to you and saw you one time from 2000.
Do you know how many people I have not seen in years on Facebook that I'm friends with? It's not exactly a place where you have to be like,
who is still Facebooking? You know what I mean? Like, I know Nana and Papa, they love their Facebook, but who their age is still Facebooking this hard? No one's going this hard on Facebook. You might be going, it's like a light Facebook to like, I occasionally check it, to I occasionally post on it, to I never post on it. No one's going this hard on the FB anymore. This would be better if this was at least Instagram or maybe TikTok, but not Facebook. Like, of course she's not checking Facebook.
intimately connected all the time.
That's true, but people treat their Facebook as different things. Is there a possibility that somewhere from 2000 to 2013, I went through and unfriended some people? Sure. Is it possible you were in one of those? Yes. What I know for sure
is
that I did not see your message in 2013. I did not see it. I wasn't aware it existed until you brought it up. And then I went to go look for it because I hadn't seen it. I was like, let's go see what this note says. Let's see if I can even find it. And it was there in a graveyard. I took a screenshot of it where it sat in the graveyard and I sent it to Will. And then I said,
yeah, in all fairness, I can verify that she did write me and go, oh my God, she did send me a message. It's right here. Can you please reach out to her and see if I can get her
Because when I
number?
heard that you said you sent me a message, I said, no, she didn't. I didn't get a message.
I can verify that.
No, she didn't. And then I went and looked for it and I found it. And I was like, yeah, that was a very nice message. I had never seen it. I'd love to talk to her. Can I have her phone number? And you said no. So I'm glad we're getting to talk about it. I'm glad we had the opportunity to talk about it. I will, very honestly, when your response was, no, let's save it for the podcast, it'll rock the stats.
Wait a minute. The podcast, Will had told me, the podcast is coming out right now. We're going to put out a press release. Can we put you in the press release? Can we do it? Yes. It was going to happen like that. But, oh, wait, all this time later and you haven't had me on when you've had every single other person on?
Well, no, we waited until, I can address that. So Trina came, the reason we had Trina on early is because Trina came out and said some things that had happened on the show and things we wanted to address right away because some of them obviously we had heard of.
Trina pictured here on the right, who was on the show.
And some of them we
Trina
had not. So
and all of us had spoken on the phone before she came on the podcast.
I'm really spoiled. Trina didn't think you were friendly with her either.
I know. And Trina and I talked about it.
Maitland's like, well, Trina didn't think you were friendly with her either. And Danielle's like, I know. And Trina and I talked about it. She does have like a very like scolding teacher tone to her.
Privately, Trina knows.
Like, oh, did you think you were going to be able to do that? And Mrs. Fischel wasn't going to find out? Well, Miss Fischel knows. And now you're busted.
Exactly what happened.
And I love Trina. I've been with her over the years.
Great.
But then it was, but then.
Maitland's like, and I love Trina. I've been friends with her over here. Danielle's like, great. Good for you. Fantastic.
What happened was we then realized as we were breaking down the show, we were having characters on when they came on. So like we didn't have Tony Quinn on until Tony Quinn's character came on the show. We didn't have the bullies on until they didn't have the bullies on the show. So that's why we're only 3 episodes into season 6 where your character has been brought in,
when
where
we
you were the
announced the
first person
show,
to bring on for season 6.
We wanted everyone to know that when we got to your season, we would have
bring
you
you
on. We wanted the people to know that cast members who had been on the show, we were getting approvals from people. Would you be willing to be on the show? Yes, of course. Great. Can we use your name in the press release? Yes, you may. And then we put your name in the press release.
Yes. That's what happened, but that's when we were going to talk about it. I thought it was going to happen pretty.
Oh, that might have been. So that might have been a miscommunication. That's a straight up. That might have been on me. With
so when I said, "Can I have your number?" and Will said, and then you said, "No, let's save it for the podcast."
About it right now. This is like we're going to talk about this right now. I'm like, I didn't think you were being genuine about it. I was like, oh, God, I don't want to talk to her right now, like about this. It's just
right. So you didn't want to talk about it then, but you thought also you were going to be on the podcast right around the same time.
Right. For the podcast, it'll be a good talk. That's what I said.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So show the receipts. Did she say it's going to rock the stats? Because that's hilarious. Or did she just say it was going to be a good talk? Because you guys first, she said one thing that was similar, like it'll be good for numbers or something. And then you specifically said it's going to rock the stats. And I'm going to need to see a screenshot. Danielle Official, if you could post that on social media, thank you so much.
In all fairness, that might have been a miscommunication on my part, because that was just getting people to say, yes, they come on the podcast.
Because you were like, oh, it's going to happen. We're going to be doing this fast.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But it was, what I meant was we were going to be announcing the podcast and everybody's name fast. But then
well, clearly it's Will's fault. Clearly, Will, you should have explained it better.
Come on. People were going to come on when they came on the show was what because frankly, we didn't want to have everybody on at the beginning top heavy. We want to save some of the people for when their episodes came out.
If we had everyone on very early, who would we have to interview when their seasons roll around? We wanted to save a certain.
Now that was a lot, guys. If we had everyone on early, who would we have? But she's frustrated with Maitland, and she's delivering these lines. Like, so what would we do then, Maitland? Would we just not have a podcast? Would we? No. It's given a little bit like Minnesota passive aggressive. Is Topanga from Minnesota? Because I feel like I could do that pretty well. But if we just had everyone on at once, what would we do for the rest of our episodes, huh, Maitland?
Amount of excitement, obviously. Having you on to talk about your new career is something a lot of people are very excited about and have been looking forward to.
Maitland goes, yes, they are. They're very excited. I'm very popular in adult film. She just really wants you to know that she's very, very popular and successful, and everyone's better to her now.
Yeah. So we wanted to give the people what they want and make them wait a little bit for it.
Well, that's the thing you do in porn too.
Glad we can still find commonalities. I cannot believe I'll never get over me saying, was there a gum wall? And Will saying, it's not gum. I will
I'm
never.
just saying it could have been candy. It could have been licorice. I imagine adult industry or regular industry, the craft service table is probably the same.
Dildos that they suction to the wall.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool to think about.
That's a cool wall.
Well, Maitland, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your time with us. We know there have been a lot of people who have been emailing us, who have messaged us.
I would say I have so much great Boy Meets World fans that have been with me through everything. Like they'll say, I watched you back then and I thought you were so sexy. And I my teenage fantasies were all, I was turned on back then, and now I get to see the full thing. And I've come all this, not many people can say that they've had, fans who were fantasizing about them back then, all these years later, actually seeing them in those fantasies, and they have your vagina in their drawer.
Right. That's true.
That's true.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, yes, she said she had a fleshlight mate. Okay.
Very niche market. I never thought that would happen.
And one thing I do want to tell you that we've been talking about a lot is, again, we're only 3 episodes in, but they haven't really established your character very much yet. They didn't give you a whole lot to do, and with what they've given you, you're doing great.
Yeah.
So we're very impressed with
all of our stuff in the apartment. It was really fun. Like,
thank you, Kitty.
It could really have been just one note. Like they haven't figured out yet exactly who she's going to be.
She was yet, yeah.
But you're doing a lot with what they're giving you so far, and I think they're trying to figure out who you're going to be and what the relationship is. Because I know a lot of people talk about, like, I'll hear from people at conventions and stuff all the time, like, no, Rachel should have been with Eric. Like, why was she with Jack and not with Eric?
I get a lot of Eric, like, yes.
Yeah, that kind of stuff too. So.
Yeah. But who was it? Was it Michael or somebody was saying that if I got with Eric, it wouldn't have been.
Okay, so then they talk about when she got with Eric, and the podcast is basically over at this point. But this is like all the drama on social media today, this Boy Meets World. And it does feel like, did I do this shit on purpose? Because like Maitland allegedly said, it did rock the stats in the most ridiculous way. I'm just like, what could be going on with these 40 and 50-year-olds? And here we are. And again, like I said earlier, even with Us Weekly talking about that, Maitland went directly allegedly, to Fab to do an interview on Tuesday today, and that she felt so now that we've heard it, Maitland then said after the interview that she didn't feel shaken up or anything. She was just surprised by the whole situation. I've had a little time to reflect on it since I did the show a week and a half ago. She told Fab in her interview, it just felt uneasy to have people that you called friends, especially in the past. I thought Danielle was my friend. I can see that she did not like me, and she has been harboring not liking me through the years, but it's sad to me too. I don't know if she doesn't. Well, no, I don't think I don't think she likes you. I don't think you like her. So that's okay. Just be honest. She says just one day earlier, she was on the podcast. So Maitland is 48, Fischel is 43. And we just listened to the episode where things took a turn when the pair began rehashing their ongoing feud, and that she was unfriended on Facebook, to which Fischel, denied that, but said, maybe I did, but I don't remember. She doesn't have memories of that. And then Maitland says, I just want to say I did not come on the show to create controversy and to drum up anything up at the time. And I think fans can see that. Yeah, I don't know. I think you were definitely trying to drum up something. The first part of the show was friendly. That's why it was such a weird switch at the end. Well, I will say when you listen to the first part, it's like it was just waiting to happen. They're just, you can feel it. You can feel that kind of tension when Danielle's asking her questions and she's responding. It's not super duper friendly of people who were friendly and worked together and really enjoyed each other. So it was more passive aggressive. Okay. So while the headlines surrounding the podcast focus on Fischel, Ward says she's also disappointed in her. So Maitland says she's disappointed in Will Friedle. According to the actress, Friedle, 48, presented the podcast opportunity as something that would be fun. She said, I thought like any problems we had, we would talk in a conversational way. So I wasn't expecting such a jarring shift. I mean, that was conversational. You were debating her. But I don't know if conflict is conflict for a reason. I did you think it would be like, oh girl, you unfriended me. Oh girl, I don't remember. Oh girl, you do remember. No girl, I don't remember. Girl, I thought we were friends. Girl, I haven't talked to you since. Like, how are you supposed to talk about this? You're clearly upset with her. She clearly is upset with you for talking to the press. You didn't really like each. Like, who cares? What? She said it was like all of a sudden Topanga, and then she switched to Mean Girls Regina George. I'm sorry. I think Maitland plays a victim. I'm just going to say it. I think she's playing the victim a little too much for my liking. Topanga might have a tone. People might not like her, whatever. Topanga being Danielle Fischel. But this is like victim shit. Like, I can't believe you'd say that. Girl, you talked to TMZ about them. Who cares? Well, you can't be the victim when you're talking to the press. You can't be the victim while bringing up the problem. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Despite the tense conversation, Maitland is open to appearing on the podcast again in the future. I wonder why. It seems like she, just like her business, understands that, these kind of things make headlines and it's always good for their career. Any attention, even the press, even bad press, she has that mentality, is good press because it's press. She says, I'm not a coward about these things and I would do it. I definitely think there's more to be said. You could not handle. I need you to go study debate. I need you to go watch some Housewives episodes. I need you to be ready for this next time, Maitland, because they did say they might have her on in the future for an upcoming episode. But you can't come back like that, because that was Danielle just dismantled you. You have to prepare. You got to study. I need you to do this. Okay, Maitland. She said there's more to be said on the matter, and I think it was to be approached. I think it has to be approached in a more adult way. So naked? No, Jolene, that is a bad joke. And like an adult film star. There are big problems in the world. And we were discussing at length whether or not she unfriended me on Facebook. Yeah, you brought that up. Danielle said, why do you hate us? You said, I don't hate you. You unfriended me. You brought that up. These were kind of petty matters in a lot of ways, but I think we can have a deeper conversation about what? Maybe you could have a deeper conversation about the turn of Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerdork, maybe. But that's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Jim says she absolutely had a tone because you're trying to come for her. They rocked the stats. They just stats equals rocked, Alex says. Monica says the only one I still like from that show is Ryder and Trina. I don't know anything. It seems like Ryder seems pretty down to earth though. So I understand why you would think that, but I don't listen enough to know enough about Will or Danielle as like humans now. Amy says, I love that Joleen said you need to just study debate. Yes. And follows up with go watch some Housewives. Do it. You got to figure out how to get your point across, how to get heard, because whatever you were doing was just a mess. It was a mess. I did not like that. And playing the victim thing is not going to work. You two successful women, if you want to have it out, I guess, over Facebook friendship, seems pretty ridiculous, but okay. But next time you come on, I need you to be ready. I need you to be prepared because that was not fun. Okay. Moving on to the Traitors, you guys, season 3, more drama. This Traitors season 3 has a lot of drama outside of the show. Okay. Now I did listen to, let's talk first about Ryan Bailey did a great interview with Carolyn, and Bergie was there. So he had 2 Minnesotans on. I was thinking the only thing that's missing is me. And this Traitors thing is getting out of hand. I need you guys to sound off in the chat. And again, these are just my opinions. You're welcome to have your opinions, but I feel like Danielle Reyes is getting so much hate that is kind of unnecessary. Do I love the way she played this season? No. Do I love the dramatics? Is it kind of annoying sometimes? Yeah, but it's also kind of funny. Do I love that her and Carolyn couldn't get on the same page? No. But I feel like there's so many people watching the show who have never watched Big Brother, don't understand how gamers think. And so they're acting like Danielle is like the damn devil here. All right. Now, I love Carolyn. I love Danielle. I'm a Big Brother stan. I love Big Brother. But all of these things coming out about Danielle, and they're like, she swore on her grandkids. We're going to talk about the reunion. And people are so mad. But this is so common in these gaming shows, whether it be Survivor, a Big Brother. You might not like it, and you might not be used to it if you're coming just watching The Housewives or just watching The Bachelor, but I feel like they lie on The Bachelor. But they're playing a social competitive game in order to win money and influence. So they do have to lie, cheat, and steal in a lot of ways. This isn't like come hang out and be friends and play nice all the time, So I guess as a Big Brother fan, I am so used to this that I'm not shocked that Danielle did this, nor do I think she should get this hate on social media. You can hate the way she plays Traitors. You can hate that she got out your faves, but I've seen this she's getting like Sandoval during Scandival-esque hate, and it doesn't necessarily make any sense because this is just kind of, okay, well, I'm going to read some of your comments. William says, okay, this has something to do with Danielle swearing on her kids and husband to win. Danielle said she would do that a long time. Yes. Carolyn felt butthurt by being thrown under the bus. Anna says, I've been ripped apart in multiple groups for defending Danielle. And I'm sure I'll get ripped apart, and that's fine. I get it. But Monica says, people have sworn on their dead family. Get a grip. But I kind of understand people's surprise if you're just coming from watching non-gaming shows. Okay, because this has happened on The Challenge, this happened on Survivor, this happened on Big Brother. This isn't anything new. Danielle didn't create it. She's not doing anything wrong. Morally to you, it might look bad and you wouldn't do that in the game, but this isn't new. This doesn't deserve, in my opinion. I think if people watched Big Brother, watched Survivor, had a better understanding of how these gamers sometimes work, Danielle wouldn't be getting this much hate. Now, Danielle didn't do herself any favors by how she immediately it seemed as though she could not get on the same page as Carolyn, and they couldn't necessarily work together. But now we're getting reports from Carolyn saying, oh no, she was close with Danielle and Dylan from the start. What? And if that's the case, I understand that Carolyn could feel betrayed in these games, and that is a difficult thing, but it is also part of the game. Anna says the RHAP Traitors feedback show with Taylor Hale was excellent. She really broke down a lot of issues with the quiz. Oh, I'm sure she did a fantastic job. But I just can't stay silent on this anymore because it's like they're acting like Danielle, like killing kittens or something. It's just like she did the worst possible thing. Like she's just like went in the castle crop dusting everybody any chance she got, trying to give them pink eye or something. Artist, so good to see you. Thank you for being a member for 13 months. If they are offended by this, Johnny Fairplay's actual grandmother, like lying that she passed away in the game. We've seen far dirtier. And thank you. The show is called Traitors. It's not called Friendsters. As much as I love Carolyn, I don't think this is necessarily the best look for her going around. And I mean, she has every right to have her own opinion on this and stuff. But I think you have to be careful, because if you allow this in interviews to be perpetuated, that Danielle somehow did something evil, it's only going to bring more hate on her. And what I saw on Carolyn, getting back to the Ryan Bailey interview, which if you didn't check it out, go watch it, because Ryan did a really great job. He doesn't understand Danielle's gameplay either, because he's not a Big Brother fan. So hopefully I'm going to actually, they reached out to me. I'm going to collab with Ryan soon. I have to reply to them. So shout out to Ryan Bailey. And maybe I'll be able to explain a little bit of like the Big Brother lore and, what happens in the Big Brother world, and being a fan of these shows. Because if you don't watch them, you're like, what the hell is with this lady and what she's doing. So he admitted that he didn't watch Big Brother. So he is very, kind of like, I don't like what Danielle's doing. But Carolyn, in this interview, I thought Ryan did a great job trying to explain to Carolyn why Tom Sandoval gets the hate he does, or get the criticism he does, or the accountability people are trying to put on him he does. And Carolyn was very much, it feels like bullying. Well, if that feels like bullying, what's happening to Danielle might actually be bullying. Because I'll tell you one thing, Ryan was trying to explain how, what happened with Scandival and Tom Sandoval through the years on Vanderpump. And she's like, what? It seemed like Carolyn, and she didn't watch the show, so she didn't know anything. But Ryan did his best to kind of explain. But one thing I wish Ryan would have pointed out is Tom's not being bullied. Tom was the fucking bully. Tom took every opportunity he could to take a woman down on that show, to talk shit on them, to disrespect them. Like, Tom got a great edit. He was made in the shade. Like, he was coasting along, doing so well. It was his own undoing. The producers tried in every way to protect him and to give him outs even after Scandival. So it's so much bigger than you cheated on Ariana. It's just so much bigger than that. And if you're not a fan of the show and you haven't been following the show for 10 years, then you wouldn't understand that. But you can't come in and go, oh, poo-poo, whatever. Tom Sandoval was never bullied. There's no bullying. People only held him accountable for his own words. He kept pushing back on any kind of accountability, kept villainizing the woman that he basically victimized and hurt and lied to. So I wish, so as much as Carolyn wants to stand up for Tom Sandoval, it's like, well, now Danielle is going to get all this hate because people are like, oh my God, she's a horrible person. Is she? Is she a horrible person? You might not like the way she plays Traitors. You might not like that she swore on, her grandkids. You might not like that she's doing this crying game thing, but that doesn't make her a horrible freaking person. Artist, thank you for the super chat. Artist says, hello, Jolene. Please tell Nana hi for me. I will. Nana's actually here. She'll be joining us this week for a live. She flew in yesterday. That's why I wasn't live. I was getting ready and picking up my mom and dad from the airport, so they'll be with me for a while. So we'll get some Nana lives going on. Evelyn, thank you so much for being a member for 44 months. Evelyn says, I agree, Jolene. It's too much. It is too much. You're acting like she's playing as bad as Dan Giesling. Okay. Now, Dan, he was very bad. But Danielle's still in the game. Now, for how long? I don't know. Do I think Danielle's going to win this game? Probably not. Because she probably is quite a few people's traitor angel. And now after recruiting Brittany Haynes, we'll see what happens on this week of Traitors. But it's just been ridiculous to watch Danielle. I mean, I haven't been a huge fan of her gameplay this season on Traitors, for sure. 100% criticize her gameplay, but outside of this being like, this woman's awful. Like, but is she? Is she? Steven, thank you for the super chat. Steven says, the issue for me is how Danielle attacked Carolyn personally. I could see that. And saying her neurodivergent behavior is all an act, comparing her to Forrest Gump. That, unnecessary. Now, some people did point out Forrest Gump is actually very intelligent, but she's not, the way Danielle used it was in a way to be like, Carolyn, you're playing dumb. You're Forrest Gump in it. Not the worst thing that's ever been said, but offensive. As a neurodivergent person myself, I didn't like that comment at all. But yeah, so there's no excuse I could make for that comment, and it was unnecessary. Now, some may argue Carolyn does say that she uses, people kind of underestimating her as her own strategy. So it's just Danielle pointing out that, but maybe she could have probably worded it a lot better and said, I think you play down your ability and you use that as a strategy. So it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. Let me see what you guys are saying. Tesker says, I don't like it when housewives swear on their kids. Yeah, I mean, it's not something I would do personally, even on a game show, probably, but oh well. Xavier said, as Felicia would say, Danielle is lying, cheating, and stealing, and people are mad. People are mad. Anna says, I still don't think that's really what she was saying, but I understand how it's how people are taking it to say she's like Forrest Gumping it. I think they're like, Carolyn is like playing it as a dummy. Amy says people would have really hated Danielle's diary when she would say in season 3. Yeah. She would say 3 and 6 more to go or whatever. And that's a big reason why she didn't win, because it was actually back then, it was the cast voting for the winner of Big Brother. And so they saw all the diary sessions the cast still votes in the jury, but people were able to go home and watch it and then vote. So they were very butthurt about the stuff she was saying. Shine says, but Carolyn is playing a role too. I mean, I feel like everyone's kind of playing a role in this. That's the thing, Mimi. I've only been told that Carolyn is neurodivergent, but then some people, because I didn't watch Carolyn's Survivor season, but I plan on it. It's season 44, right? So I haven't watched her Survivor season, but a lot of you were like, oh, she's neurodivergent like you are, but I don't know. That's something I'll have to watch, see if it comes out in Survivor. On all the interviews I've listened to her, she's talked about her sobriety, but I haven't heard her talk about specifically her neurodivergence and whether she's ADHD or no. So I don't know. Maybe if someone, that's something I should ask Sarah from Nerdtainment, because I feel like Sarah, she's like the Survivor guru. She would know. Kali Ali says, I'm watching season 3 now, Big Brother, and Danielle give me the ick now and then. Kali's like, I didn't like it. Jim says, Carolyn thought she was that girl and she just wasn't. Oh shit, Jim. Oh shit. Thomas says, I don't like how Ryan and Bergie said so many awful things, and the only reason then did is because they are friends with Carolyn. Just about every other podcast respects Danielle's move on this episode. But I also think Bergie doesn't, not to like, but kind of to come to their defense a little bit. Bergie, he's not familiar with the shows like that, especially with Big Brother. And Ryan himself said he's not familiar with a Big Brother. And I think toward the end of that episode, you could hear Ryan be like, okay, I don't want to be mean about this. So I think Ryan tries to, as much, I've definitely, when I don't like people on shows, sometimes I've been guilty of doing that too. So it's not like I have very strong opinions on people on shows for sure. But as far as like, it's one thing to have like these opinions, but as far as like going and sending her messages and shit like that, that's a little too much, I think. Allie B says, thank you, Joleen. It's so refreshing to hear you talk about this. I agree. Danielle doesn't deserve it. And I think it's important for the Traitors to address how much hate she's getting. I do. And I think Carolyn, who is someone who says she is, and I believe that she is someone who is very protective and doesn't like bullying and comes to the defense of who she deems as the underdog. And unfortunately, she thinks Tom Sandoval's an underdog. He's not. Okay. He's just a dog. Okay. Whatever that's all his own doing. But she says she sees herself in him, and he also allegedly has ADHD. I think Tom Schwartz told us that on Watch What Happens Live back in the day. But I think then if that's the case, you have to be careful that you're not feeding into these narratives that Danielle is somehow an evil person because of the way she's playing Traitors, because then you're going to, you have this huge platform and you're going to then not encourage, but almost, kind of encourage people to feel justified in them going at Danielle. Because Danielle Danielle can hold her own for sure. And she was on Twitter, and she has been coming at some of these haters that have been coming for. And like I've said with all the shows I cover, you're going to get haters, So sometimes when these, reality stars, they're like, oh, you're being mean to me. It's like, you have to be able to, deal with it to a certain extent. especially when some of it's justified. Tom Sandoval, but it's far. I'm trying to find the one I saved a screenshot of Danielle on Twitter. But I think you can stick up for yourself as well. And what Danielle is doing is nothing like Tom Sandoval and his stupid ass. So, but we seem to have a lot of understanding and love for him. And that could be the difference between, the level of empathy and stuff that we have for men versus women. That could also be, we tend to be like, oh, that poor guy. And it's like, poor guy, dude's 40 something. Some say he's 85. So he does not need to be protected. And if anything, he keeps getting bigger and greater opportunities. That's what I never understood when people were like, Sandoval's been kicked enough. First of all, he was never kicked. The show he was on even gave him a redemption arc when he didn't deserve it. And he clearly shit all over that. And now the show's done. And now he's on Traitors getting another somewhat redemption arc by playing the dummy. So people who aren't familiar with him or his previous work, they're like, oh, that poor guy, why does everyone not like him? There's a good reason why we don't like this jerk. Okay? And we don't have to. And he has shown that time and time again, coming after the same women that, he's wronged and blaming a woman constantly. So I feel like Carolyn has a lot of empathy for Tom, but it's probably because, she can see herself somehow in him and his goofiness. But he's goofy. It's performative goofy. Carolyn's is like genuine goofy. Carolyn is genuine. If she is neurodivergent, I get it. Because, in a lot of ways, a lot of the stuff she does is similar to things I do. Not that all neurodivergent or ADHD people are the same, but I can kind of relate to that. But Tom's is purely performative. Believe me, we've watched him a long time. We've heard many interviews. He's got a podcast. He's told us in so many ways that he's a butthole. I don't know how many more times Tom Sandoval can say he sucks until we actually believe him. Evelyn, thank you for the super chat. Evelyn says, I think I'm rooting for Danielle to win now. Everyone's head will spin. Right? It's like, because I've definitely been critical of Danielle's game in Traitors 100%. I hate the way that immediately she wanted to, what it appeared to be is that she wanted to turn on Carolyn, because I was like, God, I want these two boss chicks to like work together. I want them. They're both, great, iconic, and I really want them to work together. And the fact that they weren't able to, I was frustrated. Now I've been listening to all the things. I listened to Bob the Drag Queen, Bob the Drag Queen, Bob the Drag Queen. I listened to Bob the Drag Queen, and Bob the Drag Queen was like, okay, Bob the Drag Queen is very pro Danielle, and he is fighting the fight of Bedford Falls, trying to make sure that, people are like, don't completely, just shit on Danielle and her reputation, and going like, no, I love Danielle. And he's like, so she turned on Carolyn one time. But what I think Bob the Drag Queen, he's got some good points. However, that one time was just enough to break the trust forever. That's all that is necessary in this game is, that one time someone throws you under the bus to enough people, you're not going to forget that, and you're going to want revenge, and you're not going to trust that person. So I get why Carolyn feels the way she does toward Danielle. I would feel that same way. Okay, I found it, you guys. Let me pull up my let me save it and send it over to myself, and we can share it. So Danielle has been going at the fans now as they are coming for her, and like she can definitely hold her own, but Danielle's like, I am not one to play with. Okay, let's see. Tesker says, I wanted them to work together too. I really did feel for Carolyn, though, because Danielle routinely shut her down in the tower. It was frustrating for me to watch. I thought it was frustrating too. I still think it's frustrating. And Bob the Drag Queen said it was that Carolyn can never come to an answer. Like, he's like, look at how many, kind of the same point I made in my last recap is, as much as I love Carolyn, I do get that there would be some frustration on Danielle's part where she's naming all of these people, like, how about this up? And she's like, no, I don't know. No. But then I also get where Carolyn's coming from, because Carolyn's like, I don't trust you. So there's already this like huge distrust now to work with you. So anything you say, like, I'm pushing against. So it has just turned so crazy outside the game. Anna says, I really feel with how mad the eliminated contestants are that Danielle at least gets through this week. Possibly. I just don't know, without the aspect of traitor angels and people treating Danielle as their traitor angel, how she gets any farther. That's shocking to me, but we did see, which I talked about in my roast and recap of this past episode, we did see a Danielle that we're more familiar with, the Danielle at the round table, who was able to, boom, 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 where Carolyn struggled more. And Carolyn herself said, oh, I don't think I was ready for this. I think it was impulsive, maybe coming after Danielle. And Danielle was just able to get her point across in a more convincing way, despite afterwards being like, in the corner, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. So I totally understand that people aren't going to like Danielle. You do not have to like Danielle. You don't have to like the way she plays or anything. But outside of the game, kind of being like, she's a horrible person. I fucking hate this woman. She ruined the show. No, I think that might be a little much. Let me close some of my little things here because I don't want to freeze up on you guys. They're like, Joleen, you have too many things open. Okay, let me share this screenshot with you all. Okay, so here's Danielle and James Ryan. If you remember James from BB6 and BB7 for my Big Brother fans, him and Danielle have a pretty close friendship. And I think that friendship started on Big Brother 7, which was BB All Stars. And he comments on here. So here's Danielle on Twitter. I got to see if she still has a Twitter because I couldn't find her Twitter for a minute. Oops. No, I want to go back. Okay. So Danielle Reyes says, so she subtweeted this lady who said, you ruined the game and wanted to play your own way. I remember why nobody wanted you to win, Big Brother. Same reason. Next time you're on TV, put in 2 minutes to brush your hair. And then I didn't read, obviously I didn't capture the rest of it. I should have. And Danielle retweets, dearest Marianne, I can brush my hair, but have you looked in the mirror? Yeah. Take no lip, looking like you smell like old can of tuna ass to a plastic surgeon. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, take your no lip looking, smell like old can of tuna ass to a plastic surgeon. Glad you're watching. Kissy face. And then James Ryan says, remember when you lectured me for making fun of fans? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Kara says, I love Danielle. My only thing is, like many people have said, why isn't she explaining herself in confessionals? Yes, that would help. That would help. It could be, she could be explaining herself and they're not airing those, or maybe she just isn't. I think Danielle, in a lot of ways, when she went after Carolyn, it was such a huge mistake because she should have just went after Boston Rob. But she was playing it in Big Brother terms, where she felt as though I got to hit Boston Rob. I can't get him yet, almost like he's HOH or something and has some kind of power to stay in the game. So I need to get who I think is his number one ally, who is Carolyn. And that's the way she explained it to us, is I'm going after Carolyn to take a hit at Boston Rob, when really she could have just went after Boston Rob. And that would have been much more fun to watch, Danielle versus Boston Rob right out the gate. But she wanted to go at what she believed is closest ally, which I feel is a Big Brother type move, not a Traitors move. Traitors, you can take that direct hit. So yeah. Monica says, Carolyn has ADHD and ex-addict. She isn't autistic. I have 2 autistic sons who have high IQ. Danielle was saying Carolyn was smarter than she was showing. Yes, I get that. Totally makes sense, Monica. But I think the way in which she said it, people are taking it, and going, oh, I don't really like the way that felt. So, but yeah, people, that is a great point of being like, she was actually saying, hey, you're dumbing it down. I feel like you're playing it down. You're playing this kind of dumb character and you're not. But instead of saying it like that, she worded it differently, where people, myself included, the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. I do not like that. Tesker says, I think that her picking Brittany is going to screw Brittany and possibly both of them. Yeah, because Brittany was like, I hope it's not Danielle that picked me, recruited me to be a traitor. Because, oh my God, that would be horrible. Amy says, oh, damn, I see that part. Maybe I commented on a different. Oh, did you comment on a different one? All right, let me see if I can see the full exchange. Let me see if Danielle's, because would she get, I don't think she would get rid of Twitter. Danielle is a tough cookie, but I'm just seeing this, like, people really not understanding Danielle and her gameplay. And I just never expected Danielle to come on Traitors and get this much hate. To me, it's a little shocking. It's a little jarring, and people to go, oh my God, the fact that they were making such a big deal going, she swore on her grandkids. She cried all the time. Yes, this is a game. It's a social game. And a lot of times people manipulate people through their emotions. Is it my favorite way to see people play? No. Nicole Franzel was known for that. There's so many people in the Big Brother world who were known for playing on emotions and using their emotions, fake tears. You know, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I vote to evict Ian. And she's like, I acted. How did I do? In BB22. So I've seen so many versions of this that Danielle's is so mild compared to what I've seen. But it seems like a lot of the fans, obviously, they don't watch Big Brother. They don't watch Survivor. So they're like, oh my God, that's horrendous. But this has just become, whether you like it or not, this has become part of the process in these, you know, for gamers on these shows to, you know, use their family and that to swear on and be like, I promise you, or my grandmother's dead, or, you know, there was a guy on Big Brother 12, Matt, who said his wife had cancer. I mean, it gets dirty. Now that was dirty. And at the end of the show, he was like, just kidding, she doesn't. And we're like, what? He was like, I'm here to play for my wife who has what? That's next level. That's like next level. But to go, no, I swear on my family, I swear on my kids. Is it shitty? In the real world, 100%. I wouldn't do it because I feel like vibes and weird shit. I just don't want to jinx things. I don't know. But I don't want the universe ever to pick up on anything and then be like, oh, I guess you want no. I'm just like that. But Danielle doing it, it's not it's not that I'm just, I guess, desensitized to it. Yes, Miss Danielle is not good at overdoing the emotions. She is definitely not. It is coming off very, very bad, very cringe. So I get people and their, you know, critique of Danielle just within the game, but this somehow, like, she's this freaking monster. It's like, oh no, Yes, dead grandma on Survivor, Maria, Johnny Fairplay. And I think it's up to maybe like us who watch the shows like Big Brother to be like, oh, this is light work compared to what we've seen. Danielle just being like, oh yeah, I swear on my grandkids, I'm not a traitor, is nothing compared to playing a whole season of Big Brother pretending your wife has cancer and that you're going to use the money when you win it and put it toward her treatment. So people are like, oh my God. I mean, I remember Matt he didn't win the game, just so you know, spoiler alert. And he goes into the jury house and he has to tell everyone who comes in, and they're like, oh my God. Kathy, she was a cop, and she was like, I can't believe you would do that, Maya. And then Rachel and Brett, he had to tell everyone as they came in, and Brittany, like, who does that? Okay. So, let's see. So James is tweeting okay. Let's see if I can find this. Danielle says, I know. So I'm just looking at her Twitter. She says, I know, but I had time that day when James says, remember when you lectured me making fun of fans? She said, I'm done. I should be better, but talking about my broke down, no sleep, back against the wall, trying to survive appearance is uncalled for. Talk about my game day. But if you're going to talk about my look, please make sure your profile pic is okay. I mean, if someone comes for your looks on social media and you want to strike back at them, that's on you. I wouldn't be like, I don't like Danielle's hair. I'm more like, I don't like how she is pretending to cry all the time, or I don't like the fact that she couldn't work with Carolyn. But I've seen a lot of comments talking about her hair, and I just don't care what her hair looks like. And I just, that's not something I'm going to be commenting on. Let's see. This person said, who's winning this round table on All Stars? Well, it's, in my opinion, it's Phaedra. And even Danielle says, I'm not stupid. She's an attorney. I'll just sit there and sip my water. Well, let's see if I can find the original tweet with that lady. Well, I might not even need it. Yeah, but this and Danielle's hats. I will say Danielle's hats are very offensive. Whoever packed her hats, fire them. And then Carolyn, I didn't even listen.
You show up with your.
But a lot of you guys sent this to me, and this is Carolyn. She did a poem for Boston Rob, and now here's a poem for Danielle, and she's wearing the hat. And Danielle thought that was pretty funny. So let's take a listen to Carolyn's poem because I haven't listened to it yet.
Imagine loving this show and being so excited to have fun and play this game, and then you show up with your J.C. Penney hat wanting to play hard. I get it, girl, but we're not the same. They say that expectations will leave you frustrated and sad. I didn't expect to be around constant shaking and crying. So yeah, I guess that was my bad. You're not just a traitor. You're keeping Visine in business too. JK, girl, I hope that those Big Brother fans are proud of you. Good game. Imagine loving this show and being so excited.
Good game, bitch. And Danielle even says, this is hilarious, not wearing the hat. So I feel like maybe some people are taking it to a level it doesn't necessarily have to be at. Danielle's able to make fun of her silly hats because they were horrible. They're just, yeah, the hats. I got to say the hats were bad. So, and you can come at me and say my hats are bad. That's totally fine. All right, I can't find that. Anyways, so she's just been going at a couple of the fans that are coming at her, and yeah, if I mean you're gonna talk about her hair, then go ahead. Kali Ali says Carolyn is a lot, but Danielle is annoying, and you have every right to think she's annoying on the show. That's normal. It's normal for us. But I've just seen people be like, she's the fucking worst person I've ever seen. She's evil. Oh my God. And people were shocked. She swore on her grandkids. And I'm like, what else? Because they're like, you'll never guess what Danielle said. And I'm like, oh my God, what'd she say? She swore on her grandkids. Oh, is that it? Is that all? But again, I've been watching these gaming shows forever and a day. I cover Big Brother every summer, and that is light work. That is nothing. I feel like I'm doing my Carolyn, but that is nothing. Bob the drag queen that I've heard before. I've heard so many worse things. But Carolyn herself says she never watched Big Brother either. So you have so many people who aren't I mean, they're living in a house for an entire summer with each other. And they're saying all kinds of things about one another. They're humping each other. It's just a hot mess. So Danielle just being like, yeah, I swear on my grandkids. But apparently they are taping the reunion, I think this week or next week. And Danielle's going to be confronted about this. Because Dolores was like, I can't believe it. This is horrible. And yeah, they've said meaner things on Top Chef. I don't know. And I mean, look at the current state of politics. Your president says worse things than Danielle Reyes says. So maybe calm it down a little bit while you're praising Trump, but ripping on Danielle for being like, you know, your president says way worse stuff than Danielle Reyes has ever said in her life. Treats people way worse than Danielle Reyes. And she's on a game show. He's supposed to be running the fucking country. So I've got my Carolyn on. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So Us Weekly has picked it up. With the Danielle comments about Forrest Gump, the Traitors Danielle defends comparing Carolyn to Forrest Gump, addresses her messy appearance, which I think, first of all, you should never comment on a Black woman's hair. I think, if anything, why? Like, why in your time, especially as not a fellow Black woman? I just think, like, we've seen so much and learned so much about how Black women and their hair are critiqued and used against them. And it's just like this whole thing. And yet here we are. You got white ladies going, I don't like your hair. Well, bitch, nobody cares. We don't care. Don't talk about it. It's not your business. It's not your hair. Okay. Now the hats, I can't let the hats go. The hats go. But I think if you know anything about the world, the US, how things work, like, don't come for a Black woman's hair. What are you doing? What's that? What are you getting off that? Well, how does that now wardrobe on any of the cast members? That's another thing. Cami says, meanwhile, Tom is riding his old man wave all the way to the end because everyone is focusing on Danielle. Yeah. But the hats are unforgivable. The hats are unforgivable. Okay. So the Traitors Danielle Reyes weighed in on her Forrest Gump comment about Carolyn Weegar. her messy on-screen appearance, and more. Danielle, 53, faced backlash after scheming to get Carolyn banished on Thursday, February 20th episode of Peacock's hit competition series. More specifically, viewers weren't thrilled with how Danielle claimed Carolyn, 38, was putting on an act before comparing her to Tom Hanks' Forrest Gump character. Find the footage of Josh comparing the fabulous Lisa to Forrest Gump in Big Brother 3. Yeah, she became our first female winner. Danielle wrote via X. I mean, Big Brother 3 was a long time ago, though, Danielle. On February 22nd, played a spectacular endgame and whooped my ass. Carolyn played a spectacular game. Hats off, no pun intended. After her exit, Carolyn shared a poem. We just watched the poem. She wrote about Danielle, sharing via Instagram on Friday. Imagine loving this show and being so excited to have fun and play this game, and then you show up with your JCPenney hat wanting to play hard. I get it, girl, but we are not the same. She continued, they say, here's my thing. I love Carolyn, but if you're not there to play hard, what? This ain't summer camp. This isn't bug juice. It doesn't come in a can. Bug juice. Like, it's still a competition game called Traitors. So I don't think we should begrudge anyone for wanting to play hard. They just play differently, and that's okay. They say that expectations will leave you frustrated and sad. I didn't expect to be around constant shaking and crying. I guess that's my bad. You are not just a traitor. You are keeping Visine in business, too. I hope those Big Brother fans are proud of you. Well, I will say, yes, picking up on energy and having that kind of, I know Carolyn talked about that on Ryan Bailey's podcast about how, that energy of Danielle constantly, according to her, being on edge and crying and shaking and all that was just like a lot. And I get that. That would be very frustrating. The Traitors, which returned last month, brings together reality TV stars from various franchises. We know what it is, Us Weekly. You don't got to tell us. Boston Rob. They should not, any of these fans who love Boston Rob and are criticizing Danielle, you have not a leg to stand on. Boston Rob has said far worse and done far worse, and we still love Boston Rob. So you can't have, both things can't be true. Boston Rob lies to people like it's his job. It literally is his job. And he's so good at it. And we respect him for that in these games. But don't watch old Boston Rob seasons because, so they're kind of explaining it. Danielle specifically faced criticism from viewers and co-stars who questioned her over-the-top acting, which definitely questioned that. There were online jokes about Danielle's disheveled appearance, which she had no regrets over. For real, I think I'm going to frame the Monopoly hat. Hot mess, she wrote on Twitter, because it'll never be X to me, over the weekend. I wasn't there to be cute. I was there to win. I don't give a fuck about my appearance. Hashtag messy traitor. Before the episode where she helped banish Carolyn aired, Danielle defended how she chose to play the game. So Danielle said, that's all performance and crazy acting, she told People earlier this month. I am a non-emotional person in my normal life, to the point people think I'm heartless and cold. I've been told that. So I decided to cry. I thought I'd be more emotional. I would get emotional at stupid stuff. It's so cringy. I laugh at myself. And that's what I think a lot of Big Brother fans, we were like, who is this Danielle? What is going on? Why is she being so over the top? But we did speculate in our Traitors recaps, you guys remember, that Danielle was probably doing this to go like maybe a different direction, to see if this emotional arc, since she probably, if anyone knew her, she would be targeted because she is such an icon coming from the gamer world. I mean, literally most fans of Big Brother regard her as, I've said it a million times, as the greatest Big Brother player to never win, but to play the game. And that's big shoes to fill when we're coming up on, what the damn season, was it season 26, 27? I don't even know what season we're on. I cover it every summer. I can't remember. So many damn seasons, So she might have thought she needed to pivot, and then she pivoted too hard in that direction where it just came off as disingenuous, where Carolyn being emotional comes off as more genuine because that's true to her person. And you can tell, when something is, some people can tell clearly when it's not true to that person and it might be an act. Danielle noted that she was aware not everyone would support her gameplay, adding, it seemed like, what am I doing? Oh, you're an obvious traitor because you're not scared. But I did act scared. I made my hand shake, which that was very cringe. I made my hand shake, but I did put my name up eventually, but it was edited out. Oh, she's talking about in that episode with the challenge where they put their picture on the wall and she like saved Dolores, and Dolores is like, oh, but aren't you afraid of getting murdered? And Danielle's like, it's almost like she didn't think that one through. Oh yeah, because only a traitor wouldn't be afraid of getting murdered and not put their own picture on the wall. Got it. Okay. But she says she did put her own name up, but it was edited out. My point was to make it seem like I was a faithful. That's why I did that. She concluded, if you listen to people who have been murdered and banished, they're all surprised that I'm a traitor. I mean, it'd be so boring. Not everyone. There are some people who are surprised, but I would say more people were surprised that Carolyn was a traitor than Danielle was a traitor. I mean, it'd be so boring if I wasn't doing what I was doing. Not really. You don't want traitors hugging and singing Kumbaya. I mean, I don't want them not able to work together. I would like them to be able to work together for a period of time until they have to turn on each other. You want to see the chaos, and that's what we're giving you guys. So, but where did she defend this comment? Is it just her saying she wasn't there to win? Expectations? Oh, it was just her tweet. Find the footage of Josh comparing the fabulous Lisa to Forrest Gump in Big Brother 3. Oh, yeah. Tesker says, it's valid to be annoyed by Danielle. 100%. I get annoyed by her in Traitors, and I'm like, oh, fucking Danielle. And say so on social media. It's several steps too far to call her a terrible person and go in on her appearance and act like you know her and message her. I think so. And I just think I feel like she's getting a ridiculous amount of hate for something that's been done for years and things that have far worse, just like I've mentioned in this. So Jim says no one's actually surprised Danielle. There's been a couple people who were surprised Danielle was a traitor, a couple, but the majority of people were like, of course Danielle, and then they're like, Carolyn, what? Everyone's shocked Carolyn is a traitor. And it is crazy how Carolyn could be, you know, so under the radar. And then it took just one challenge of her making some bad decisions in that last episode, in that last challenge, for people to go, oh. And then Danielle speaking out on it. That's kind of crazy to me, that after all the kind of people not allegedly suspecting Carolyn, it just took that one game and then everyone's onto her. That was weird. Graphic says, I feel like we're not seeing a lot of what would make a lot more sense. Yep. And that's kind of, you know, that's what sets or supposed to set Big Brother apart than a lot of these shows, is because we have live feeds. We can actually allegedly see things going on in the house, even though they cut them a lot. But with editing in these shows, we're not going to see some of the stuff that I think would help us have a better understanding of the show overall, and the players and the moves they make. So unfortunately, yeah, they can kind of, you know, edit a certain narrative, unfortunately. So let me see here. I want to play I know we're almost at 2 hours, but you guys you're just so fun, and I missed you yesterday. So hopefully it's not too long for you guys. Hit the like if you haven't already. I'll try to remember to put timestamps. I'm so horrible at that, and I apologize, you guys. Okay. But I want to watch their reaction, because that came out, and we have a new episode coming out this week, and that came out last week. And okay, so we have the Traitors spoilers, or the Traitors revealed, episode 8, Sam and Carolyn. So the murdered and the banished come together. So let's take a listen to this and see, because I think Sam had some stuff to say. I haven't watched this yet because I wanted to wait and watch it with you guys. So let's just play that here. Give me a thumbs. Oh, I will go to my P.O. box today, hopefully. If not today, tomorrow. Thank you for reminding me, graphics. So Allie B, you're so welcome. Thank you for being here. So let's take a listen to Sam and Carolyn for the U.S. Traitors reveal.
I could not form these bonds and then murder them.
That put a fire in my ability to catch the traitors.
I just wanted to walk around looking cute in the castle.
I got murdered by the Traitors. It was the element of me just getting more vocal around the round table, and I was one of the most vocal ones left. So that's why I think it came down to me. I came into this game to have fun, and I came into this game to, do the missions, be competitive, but never really step on anybody's foot, because that's not something that's cool in my books.
Danielle, and I don't care, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I think that she is a monster. And I had to be a monster too as a traitor, but she took it to a whole nother level, trying to gain sympathy from other people, faking the tears, faking the
a monster. And I had to be a monster too. It's like, a monster, really?
If I had to go up in that fucking turret with her one more goddamn time and fake that, I couldn't. I was not prepared for all of the evidence that I had against her to be used to be flipped around on me. I wasn't. I said, I can't keep up with this. And I'm like, Dylan, you know this. What are you doing? Why are you just standing there? And he just stood there. But I didn't expect that from him. It hurt. It felt like, well, here I am once again, tripping over my words, stumbling over what I have to say, not being able to articulate anything, and nobody's listening. And
Coming into this game, it was very difficult to see where I was going to stand with some of these people, because they've known each other from reality. They've worked with each other on some other competition shows, and they only knew of me maybe through the media. I like to stay private when it comes to my personal life, and I like to keep the past and celebrate the past. And I like to just be my genuine self. And that's what really made me successful at gaining everybody's trust.
I'm hurt because I really feel like I was so close. I could have won. And this is I don't want to be mad at myself, but I am. In order for me to even be a traitor and do what I was doing, I had to just completely disconnect. It was too hard. And I could not look at certain people and form these bonds with them and then murder them. Oh, I just wanted to walk around and looking cute in a castle.
There's a few people that I feel
like that's like a housewife's answer, Carolyn. I just wanted to walk around and be cute in a castle. You know how these games work, Carolyn, but that's funny because she's like, I just wanted to walk around. I also do have a theory too, because it seems like what I learned from Ryan Bailey's interview with her is, and they reiterated this, Carolyn didn't say this obviously, but that Carolyn is this next generation of Survivor greats and favorites, even though she didn't win Survivor. I haven't watched her season yet, but they were putting her on the level of Sandra, Parvati, Rob, because she's I came into this show and I was they're not going to pick me as a traitor. I mean, I talked to Sandra before and Sandra was they're not going to pick you as a traitor, girl. And I was like, girl. And so I didn't expect it, but I wanted it. And then Ryan and Berkey were both agreeing, no, you're one of the, one of the favorites from Survivor. You're a part of that crowd now. And so I think that Rob wanting to work with her, I think Rob's not a dummy, and Rob knows that Carolyn is this kind of new generation, new school favorite on Survivor. I mean, Sia, she got the Sia award, and Sia said that she was her favorite Survivor player ever. Carolyn is very beloved by so many people in the Survivor community, and people really liked watching her gameplay, and they like her as a person. And so I think Rob's oh, okay. And some people are saying she's going to be on 50 with returning players, Survivor 50. So I think Rob's no dummy. Rob knows how to stay in this, how to stay relevant, how to, so he wanted to work with, I think, Carolyn, for a lot of those reasons. That's just my speculation, as I was oh yeah, Carolyn is new school Survivor favorites. She is the cool kid on Survivor, even though she might not feel like it, because that's within her to kind of always feel on the outs, which I totally get that. But oh, that makes more sense. Okay. Pamela says, I like quirky Carolyn. Of course. She's awesome.
They thought were traitors that came out to be faithfuls. That just made me understand how difficult the game was. It made me upset that they had to go, so that put a fire in my belly to catch the traitors. The day that we got Boston Rob, but that day was the day that I was fully in it. And at the round table, it was enough listening. There was a lot of facts, and it was time to vote for someone. So that was the most certain I've ever been. That was one of my favorite days in the castle. I think some of the traitors are definitely Gabby and Dolores.
No, Sammy Spears.
Okay. The traitors are, oh my God, Danielle. Danielle's reactions, her nervousness was not genuine. One of the biggest thing in acting and in real life, when you cry, it's a vulnerable moment, so you kind of hide it. But if you do want people to see it, like a baby would, they kind of cry out loud. It's a form of communication. So she was always crying out loud. That's why it was never genuine from all the other people that she was super close to. She was really lying to them. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. So
That was actually a really good breakdown of it from an actor. Because remember, Sam Spears is an actor. He was married to Britney Spears, obviously, but he is an actor. I don't know what he's acted in, but I'm sure he has some credits. And I do like myself some Sam Spears. I didn't think I was going to, but I do like him. But the way he broke that down in acting terms, Sam, I got to listen to that again. I liked that. Because yeah, when you cry, it's a vulnerable moment, so you kind of hide it. But if you want everyone to see it, you're like, oh, it's camp. What Danielle was doing, it's almost like she's just like how Alan is like, this show's so camp, and Alan's camp, and everything's camp. Danielle's just adding into that. It was like mommy dearest levels of acting, like, no, why hangers, and you're like, Danielle, oh my God, like her hat in the corner with the Arby's and the, she's not talking, just freaking out. But that was a really good explanation, Sam.
it's a vulnerable moment, so you kind of hide it. But if you do want people to see it, like a baby would, they kind of cry out loud. It's
That
a
was
form
a
of
different
communication.
Sam, Kara.
So she was always crying
There
out
is
loud.
an evil Sam and a good Sam in Brittany's life. And this Sam, I believe, is like the good Sam. And then there was a Sam, other guy that was with her when she was struggling more, and he was no good. But both Sam.
That's why it was never genuine from all the other people that she was super close to. She was really lying to them. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. So that's what she did.
I don't want her to win. I wanted to bring Gabby in because I was like, I just want to have fun. That's all I wanted to do this whole game is have fun. But I'm working with people that just weren't.
Wow. Carolyn, I'm very surprised by this because she was always so genuine. The crying wasn't there as much. So I do think Carolyn was a better traitor than Danielle. But Carolyn did fly under the radar and no one was suspecting Carolyn.
Maybe I would have done better as a faithful. No, I did great and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. I didn't think that I would get this far. This is hard. It's fucking hard. It's harder than Survivor. Boston Rob said the same thing. First of all, I was shocked to even be here. I'm not some Survivor legend. You know what? I can have conversations with Boston Rob and Jeremy and Tony, and I can fit in with them too. I belong. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a survivor too. I'm grateful. I really am.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm a survivor. I can do this stuff with Boston Rob. I can do it. Also, Sierra on Summer House for the new season, she had just gotten off Traitors, and she said that it was so emotional. Like, everyone was crying and emotional, not at maybe Danielle level, but she was like, it was so freaking emotional, and she did not expect it to be that emotional.
I'm like, this was amazing. It was.
I mean, Alan picked the two most nervous people to be traitors. These two were so obvious that I definitely know I'm not good at this game. And I think the end of this season is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I definitely know I'm not good at this game because they were so obvious.
We have someone here to see you. The person after you is a Spanish.
Oh, amazing. Come over here, you traitor.
You already know that I'm a traitor.
Of course. Okay. I would have never guessed.
Carolyn's showing up with a Britney. Give me more dress. Sam's like, oh, hey, Carolyn, come in here, you traitor. And Sam, I never would have guessed. Sam's just so calm. He's a very calming presence.
Okay.
Isn't this crazy? Like, as a faithful, you're probably thinking, and you probably, yes, never suspected me because how did you view me in the game? Just be real.
I think you were the least person I suspected, which means, which means I think you played it better than Danielle because she was not genuine.
Like, I cried a lot, but it was like genuine and real. And so when I saw the fake tears and her,
that was all fake.
All fake.
Really? So she's here to win, and she'll do whatever it takes. Lie, cry.
And lying, I get. You might need to lie sometimes. She was basically trying to get me, and so I needed to get her before she got me. Nobody listens to me, or when I speak up.
They shouldn't leave you.
Well, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It
No,
was happening
girl,
right in front of us.
I know, but I'm somebody like the same reasons you like don't suspect me of being a traitor. It's like when I actually needed people to like listen, they're not going to listen. Where you were
Good.
at that round table.
That's why you were a good pick. They picked a good one. But was it Danielle's vote to murder me, or was it you?
So I had like kind of didn't know if I wanted to murder you because you had said like Danielle's next. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
she was
yes, I'll
The
finally
hell
get
they got like the mic, but it looks like a claw coming in on Carolyn's poor little tot there. They're like getting a claw on her tots. They could place the mic better. What is that? That looks painful. Justice for Carolyn's tot.
somebody to be on
You
board.
should have waited one more day.
I know. And it's true. I thought about that. I'm like, crap. I was getting sick of your ass. Like
Yeah.
you were getting too smart. And
Yes.
like you were. It was like, shut up. And also people like saw you as faithful.
It's not that I was getting smart. I was just saving it for last.
And people had said you were playing the smartest
Yeah.
game. That's what people
Really?
had said at breakfast when you didn't show up.
But were they sad when I was gone?
Of course.
Okay.
But you
good.
were too smart.
Wait, did you tell?
Sam, but were they sad when I was gone? Sam wants the tea. Like, did you do this? Who did this? You should have waited a week. Were they sad when I was gone? What did they say? Did they say I was the smartest? Okay, cool.
Alan, you wanted to be a traitor?
Hell yeah. Did
You
you?
did?
Did you not?
Of course not. What do you mean? So
You
there's
literally said you didn't want to be a traitor.
Yeah,
Why?
because I didn't want to be a traitor. The last 2 nights at the castle, you have to be really desperate, and you have to do really desperate things. That's why I never chose to be a traitor. I think for you, it would have been hard too, as well.
I needed to hear that, okay? I needed to hear that because truthfully, there are things that I just know I can't.
In the heck are they putting in Carolyn's cleavage? It's like a lobster claw. It's up, it's down, it's around, it's on the side, it's biting her tot. Someone help Carolyn. This is ridiculous. She's got a perfectly nice dress there and something, I'm assuming, having to do with the microphone. What is that?
And I can't look
How did you
people in the
sleep at
eyes.
night?
Horribly. I felt crap. You know how bad I felt about Tony? I was bawling my eyes out.
Really? If you go back, would you choose to be a traitor or faithful?
Hell no, I'm a faithful. Like this is
So
way
you just
too hard.
you asked me, you're like, why would you tell Alan you want to be faithful? This is why. This is why. This is exactly why.
Thank you. It's true.
Yeah.
Like it's just not me.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to know who you want to win.
Who I want to win? Ivar. I want Ivar to win.
Oh,
What?
God, boring.
Yes,
Bring him
because listen, like from
You want
this,
the Lord to win?
yeah, of course.
Sam, boring. Bring a book. We don't want no one wants Ivor to win. Put in the chat. Does anyone want Ivor to win?
Why not? But who knows? I think it's gonna get really messy.
See, he's so calm and he's like calming me down, and it's like maybe I should be like that too.
It would be if you were faithful. Do you have any questions for the faithfuls?
Why didn't anyone listen to me?
Because you're a traitor. I think if I was at that round table, it would have been a different idea. I had plans for Danielle the next day.
Ooh, he had plans for Danielle the next day.
Her time should have been your night of banishment.
Thank you.
But if it didn't
Exactly.
happen then, it's not gonna happen.
Wait, what did he say?
Been a different idea. I had plans for Danielle the next day. Her time should have been your night of banishment.
Thank you.
But if it didn't
Exactly.
happen then, it's not gonna happen.
Oh, he's like, Danielle's gonna make it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have been murdered yet. It's
Yeah.
the truth.
If you were, I don't think you were very smart with your moves.
Sam. Not Sam with I don't think you were very smart with your moves. Okay. I'm not using any Forrest Gump thing. I'm just saying I don't think you were smart with your
Otherwise, you would have kept me around, and you would have had me do that and then murder me. Any other questions?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Carolyn didn't know that. I'm sure. I think even Cerie's been doing like little recaps on the episodes, and she herself said that Carolyn should have let Brittany become a traitor. And I was someone who was like, no, I wouldn't let that happen because I would think they were going to team up and go after me. So I agreed with Carolyn being like, no, Brittany can't be a traitor. But then Cerie says it, and I'm like, well, Cerie definitely knows more about the game than me. She's definitely way better at this shit. So I'll play that for you guys, and we'll see what Cerie's reasoning for that was. Naomi says, why is she laughing like that? Because it's Carolyn. That's how she laughs. She's just like, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying this. Bring Sam back, right? He said he had plans for Danielle, but yet he said Gabby and Dolores were traitors. Yeah. So Sam's just Esther, good point. Sam's, it's like hindsight's 2020. You know? Hindsight's 2020. And obviously he's gonna be like, that was a bad idea for you to take me out of this game. you know, I should still be in the game. I'll totally help you out, girl. And she's like, so I think she's just kind of reacting to Sam because I don't think Sam, he didn't really speak that much because Sam, I understood right when he was talking about being an immigrant and how English was his second language and he learned so much from listening. And I've heard this from many immigrant experiences where they like my husband's dad is a prime example. He immigrated here when he was younger from Mexico, and he's such a listener. And he's so much smarter for it because they say, the smartest people listen the most. And I believe that's true. And that's why I know I'm not one of the smartest people because I don't listen as much as that. But you learn so much more from listening than you do from talking. Unfortunately, I just have this need to talk. But I have heard that quite a bit. So I was like, oh, that explains Sam. He sits back, listens, and you do need like a combination of all different kind of personalities for a show like this. Okay, let me see if we have Cerie's reasoning, because obviously I'm going to believe Cerie. And yes, like you guys were saying, no one is Sandra. Queen stays queen. I mean, Sandra is iconic. She is the pinnacle, the peak of Survivor, but they're just including, Sandra too is including Carolyn in this, important popular players to play Survivor, people that will be back. And that's, had the audience had a very big reaction to. Okay, where did I send this little? God, I send myself so much stuff, you guys. It's just crazy. But if you guys are, again, if you are kind of like, oh, I want to hear somebody not shit on Danielle who recaps the show, I would say go watch Bob the Drag Queen, because Bob the Drag Queen has been doing recaps and stuff. And also I'm sure RHAP, like you guys are saying, because they're Big Brother fans like me, so they're going to I think just a lot of people aren't familiar with Big Brother, and it's not their fault. I mean, the show's been on forever, but they have their diehard fans like myself and a lot of us here in the chat, but it isn't the same as when it first came out by any means. So there's a lot of people who are like, I didn't watch that shit, because it's a commitment to be a Big Brother fan. You have to be willing to give up your summer basically to watch that shit and be invested. And there's been a lot of shitty seasons and they do us fans dirty, but we keep going back. And I often wonder why. But even right now, as I say that, I'm like, I can't wait for the new Big Brother season. Okay, I found it. Let's see what she says. Okay, here's Cerie talking about the Traitors.
4 o'clock this morning, because my 2 queens was on there. Shout out to Poverty and Kate. Anyway, Lord, Carolyn, you had it. You had it in the bag. See, why doing too much? You can't do too much. You can't talk too much. You let it get away from you. You should have let Danielle recruit Brittany. If you did that, they would have, 1, got Danielle because nobody would have been looking at you. 2, they were already on Brittany and nobody really was looking at you. But that's okay. You came a long way. Now, Brittany, I don't know. Brittany is smart, and she's right. This is the worst time to be recruited as a traitor, because usually when you recruited this late in the game, it's just to feed the villagers.
Poor Brittany.
I'm not sure if that's Danielle's motive. Maybe it is for her friend to go to the end, which would be great, but I don't know, because they hot on your trail. But now he's talking about some new twists. Yo, I can't wait till next week. I had to drop this real quick. Also, the winners of A Date with Cerie and Jeff, that's what I'm calling it.
Okay. So Cerie giving her, obviously we're all watching it after the fact, but if that, I kind of believe that that's probably what Cerie would have done, Carolyn is a totally different player than Cerie. Cerie is plugged in 24/7, which is another thing that just is hitting me. If people are so upset with Danielle, Cerie told a lot of lies. And some of those freaking, she played the first season of Traitors, and when she played, they had like regular schmegulars people, not all like celebrities or reality people. And some of those people still hate her to this day. And the guy from The Bachelor still hating on Cerie. And I'm like, build a bridge and get over it. So now Danielle is not as smooth as Cerie is. especially Danielle, her social game doesn't come close to Cirie. Cirie's social game is like smooth like butter. Like it's so freaking good. But she is lying every step of the way. And then she played Big Brother and she'd be like, happy birthday. Oh, we're not doing this fucking shit again. Happy birthday to you. And that's part of the social game, to get them to believe that you're not a threat, that you're interested in them, that, you know, that this is genuinely who you are. And Cirie is so, there's no one better at it than Cirie in all of the gaming and all of the worlds and everywhere. The mist of Cirie is so real and it's so right and it's so amazing to watch. But it comes with a lot of lying, a lot of disingenuous moments that you have to make seem genuine. But she's very good at that. Danielle, that's not her strong point, but she's essentially doing the same thing. You know, she's trying to win them over. She's just doing too much. She's trying to appear like a non-threat, which Cirie does so smoothly, but she doesn't do as good of a job. So I believe that Cirie would have probably let her, get Danielle because, or get Brittany as a traitor, because Cirie would have been 50 steps ahead, because that's how she plans. And she would have known, oh yeah, people are already sussing out Brittany. So yeah, they can go after you and I'll be safe. She wouldn't have thought, oh, they're going to turn on me. She thought there would be a better probability that since Brittany and Danielle's names are already in their mouth and her name wasn't, if she was playing like a Carolyn game, she'd be like, go ahead. So interesting to get Cirie's take, because immediately I'm like, oh, hell no. Do not let Brittany become a traitor, because they are going to team up on Carolyn. Ryan says, yeah, Cirie's social game way better than Danielle. Cirie isn't fake crime. Cirie is just so good at what she's doing. Monica says, I kept saying that Carolyn should have recruited Brittany. It was the best gameplay. See, and I myself, I was like, no, don't let that happen. But Cirie says it, I believe it. She was too busy trying to have the upper hand. And I think that was the problem with both Danielle and Carolyn, is at that point, they both said, okay, we're starting over. We're going to trust each other. But neither of them trusted each other. And they never had any intention of trusting each other. It was which one of them was going to get the other one first. And that's more of what I think they were focused on, and more of the issue. Once that trust was broken and they couldn't communicate with each other, and they had very different styles of communication. But once that trust was broken, it was never going to come back. As much as they might have wanted it to, it just never was going to. The damage had already been done, as they say. Emmeline says, it's a game. Why are they so mad at Danielle? I think it's because people watching are coming out of the Housewives role. But remember, Housewives have said far worse than Danielle. Bravo people have done far worse than Danielle. So you hate Danielle in the game. You can think, oh, she sent my faves home. She sucks. But to like act like she's some horrible person outside of the game, that's a bit ridiculous. Okay. Tusker says, in my fantasy world, they teamed up together and took out Boston Rob on their own and owned the rest. Wouldn't that be great? If that's what happened, unfortunately, it was a mess from the beginning. Esther says, I think letting Danielle bring in Brittany would have been a good move for Carolyn, because it would make Brittany question her trust in Danielle, since she backstabbed every other traitor. Again, great point, Esther. Great point. Dreadful says, I do think Carolyn dropped the ball. I don't think Danielle was on the table at all at the round table, though. It was, I think, Carolyn's performance in that competition put so much sus on her. And then her fight directly after she says, something, I didn't say that, to Dolores. And Dolores is like, I'm sorry, what? And if your whole argument is that faithful shouldn't lie, and that's why Danielle is a traitor because she's lying, you just lied to Dolores. Like, and in real time, everyone heard you during that competition. Where she's like, oh, no, I didn't say that. I said, no, I didn't say that. And everyone heard you say it. So, yeah. So there you go, you guys. This was a long one, but so fun. I'm going to be back tomorrow. We got to talk tomorrow about Karen Huger. You guys, Karen Huger, the Washington Post is reporting 4 DUIs. 4 DUIs. And she's allegedly at some rehab that's really a spa, that even prosecutors are like, I'm sorry, what is this? Oh my God. And we covered the Karen Huger, Real Housewives of Potomac, her DUI, the body cam footage that came out, because she was like, no, I wasn't drunk. And it was like, yeah, you were. Then the body cam footage came out. And then she's still out there being like, I don't think I have a problem. 4 DUIs. Karen Huger, that's a problem. That's a problem. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll talk about so much more. So smash that like on your way out if you haven't already. Shout out to all my super chatters today. Chickenhead, PK, Dorkface, Neely, Amalesh, Cry Bran, Monica, Indiana Girl, Jules, Christina. Oh shit, I missed this one. I'm so sorry. You need to watch Taylor's interview with Rob and Puya. Okay, I'll definitely watch that. I'm also going to watch, you said Sam was coming at Puya. Puya is one of my favorites on RHAP. I love when he's on Fridays with Taryn. So, but it sounds like they made up, so that's good. Artist, thank you so much. Evelyn, Steven, Monica again. You guys are amazing. Thank you for sounding off in the live chat. Comment after the video post too, because I don't get to all of your comments, but I love to hear what you guys have to say. So don't forget to comment. And if you're a part of the replay crew, you know the drill. Leave a disco ball emoji or a shamrock emoji to let me know that you made it all the way to the end as the replay crew. And if you're not already subscribed, subscribe and follow me on social media at Joleen Lunzer everywhere. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in the world. And always remember to enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Bye.